Welcome into the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Have a very interesting show today, folks. You know, when we first started this segment, it'll be, oh my gosh, now I have to count back. 12 years ago, True Crime Tuesday started. We had a goal in mind. That goal was to marry the paranormal and true crime. Well, folks, I have a third thing that's been thrown in over the years, and that's this. When you've contacted me over the years, you've said to me, Tim, you know what? I'm going to be in your town. What kind of things can I see when I'm in your town? What kind of paranormal tours can I take? What kind of true crime tours can I take? What sites can I see that I can connect myself, not only to the show, but to these real life things that you're talking about on the show? And a lot of times I'll scratch my head and go, oh God, and I'll stammer a lot. That'll happen. And then I'll find a couple of things and say, well, you can do this, this, and this. And I'll feel bad because I feel like I've let you down because let's face it, I've got a lot of things to do here on the show. But on top of that, I feel like I'm woefully inadequate to bring you a lot of the things you can do or even put them together in a nice little suggestion or tour for you to do when you're in my city, much less any other city in the nation, because a lot of you do ask me about other cities in the nation, and I have traveled quite a bit. I ramble on for this reason. I have a guest today that's managing to put together an entire series of these exact same tours. Not only that combine true crime, but also a paranormal aspect as well. Folks, when I saw that this book is soon to be available, I busted. It was like, oh my God. And I had to get a hold of a copy of this. And I had to first of all read it and then get this guest onto the show and talk about this book that's out here soon in just a few weeks. It's available for pre-order, by the way. It's called Vacations Can Be Murder, a true crime lover's travel guide. And it focuses, this first one, on the New England area. Our guest today is Dawn Barclay. And I tell you, she's put together a heck of a book. I got a chance to read an advanced copy of it over the weekend. And boy, oh boy, am I impressed. I'll tell you a little bit about the format here when we bring Dawn on in just a moment. But I'll tell you this much. I don't think I've ever read a more comprehensive guide on how to get you into an area or a city, a state, and not only give you the highlights, both true crime and paranormally, of the area and specific areas and specific highlights, but also she takes you on a complete tour. She tells you how to get around the city. She tells you which highlights to hit. And she does it expertly. And I've got to tip my hat to Dawn as to exactly how she gets you around these areas. And we'll talk about it here in just a second. Let me tell you a little bit about Dawn, and we'll bring her on. Dawn Barclay, who writes fiction as DM Bar, has been writing in the travel field for decades, first as a travel trade journalist and later as a book author. She is the 2023 Lowell Thomas Gold Award-winning author of the Autism Travel Bible, Traveling Different: Vacation Strategies for Parents of the Anxious, the Inflexible, and the Neurodiverse. Dawn also won the first prize Other Writing Award from the Society of the Professional Journalists in 1992 for a story on travel law. Vacations Can Be Murder, her multi-volume travel crime travel series with level best books, combines the two things that she loves the best, of course, after chocolate and dogs. And we commend her for that as well. We love that here as well. Travel and crime. Those are the two things that she loves the most after that. Along with being an author of Psychological Suspense, she's a member of the Society of American Travel Writers, the American Society of Journalists and Authors, the New York Travel Writers Association, and several mystery writers organizations. Let's welcome in for the first time to True Crime Tuesday, Dawn Barclay. Dawn, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm exhausted after hearing all that. But thank you for the wonderful intro.
Well, thank you for being here. There's so many places where we can start, but let's start here. First of all, thank you for putting our chocolate and our peanut butter. We appreciate that, and combining travel, paranormal and true crime, because we managed to do it quite a while ago, and we thought we were crazy for doing it. And we're glad that other people now have done it and enjoy it as much as you can enjoy the two subjects of crime and death. But that there's not only an established audience now, because it has been quite a while, but that it's recognized that the two belong together. Let me ask you this question to open, Dawn, and that's this. when did you find out that both interests combined were an equal love and that you wanted to put them in the same book?
Well, the short answer is that I started by including hotels and restaurants that had a crime element to them, like hotels that used to be jails, like the Liberty Hotel in Boston, or there are restaurants that used to be jails where you can eat in a former prison cell, things like that. But there aren't very many. And I needed to enhance that section. And it occurred to me that when souls are not at rest, perhaps murder was involved. And that's how I got the idea to bring in haunted restaurants and hotels, as well as ghost tours to supplement the true crime tours that I include in the book.
Interesting. Okay. So you kind of got there the same way we kind of got there. I like it. You know, I
needed content.
No, right. It, you know, we kind of got there not only through we got there through tragedy as well. I think with the theme of the show. I mean, we've had true crime tragedies that have happened to us as well, but we also kind of realize that, you know, you don't get one place without the other, right? I mean, you don't get to the paranormal without going through a true crime element, and it just kind of seemed to us like they should go hand in hand. We thought there should be more paranormal elements to true crime and more true crime to paranormal elements. So we figured natural progression, although you do realize at a time, you eventually run out of paranormal elements to true crime and vice versa.
Yeah. Well, I needed to get that book up to 75,000.
That's right.
Words, so
That's right.
It worked.
That's right. It does work. It does work. But the two together, I mean, eventually when you marry the two together, they do come together and they make a nice product.
Yeah, I think that people who are interested in murder are probably interested in death and ghosts as well.
Yes.
I think that there's something, I found that there was something for everyone, whether someone was interested in true crime, the paranormal, tombstone tourists who just like to go into graveyards and look at tombstones. There are people who like to travel and see the outside of jails and know who used to be in those jails. It all falls under the umbrella of dark tourism. And that's really what the book is. I don't include certain things like wartime stories. There's nothing to do with war. I try to keep out politics, and there might be some more political assassinations when I get into other parts of the country.
Okay.
But I try to focus on just those 4 types of travel.
Well, let me ask you this, because obviously when you move further south, when you get to, and I'm going to bring up a timely topic. Let me bring up the JFK assassination as those files have been released. When you get to, like, say, the Dallas area and talking about Dealey Plaza, things like that, is that something you may include in the book?
I will include it, but it won't be... Texas is a weird thing because I've got the feeling when I get to Texas, it's going to have its own book, just the way I kind of feel like Florida will. I knew from the beginning that California would have its own book, but I have to wait and see when I start writing it how extensive it's going to be. But I don't think I'm going to put more emphasis on political assassinations than I put on anything else.
Yeah. And I get it that there's the occasional exception, you know, that you have to occasionally you might have to throw something in there but I also get the no politics deal in there too. We try to stay away from politics on the show as well. It's one of those things.
And the other thing about is in Boston, I did not really discuss the churches where there might have been defrocked priests because I don't want tourists going into churches for the wrong reasons.
Right.
So I left that out.
I noticed that as well. Even though, and the other thing I noticed, you deal with Providence, Rhode Island, and I had a guest on a couple of months ago who dealt with the, let's just say the seedy underbelly of Providence and dealt with the child abuse scandals in Providence. I noticed you stayed pretty much away from that. You dealt with some of the gangster elements in Providence, but you didn't deal with that underbelly. You stayed far away from that. So I applaud you for that as well. Yeah,
there are other states when you get New York there was a lot of child abuse, and I included some of it. It's part of the book that really, really upsets me. I've become sort of a nerd to a lot of this. People think I'm odd that I start laughing about serial killers, but it's, you kind of have to separate yourself from it all,
right,
and look at it objectively. But when children or animals are involved, when I read about somebody who went and shot their family and then they killed the dog, I get really, really more upset because the dog didn't do anything. Right. And I feel that way about children because children and animals can't protect themselves.
Right.
And so that's the thing I have not been able to separate myself from. And a lot of times when I'm looking at websites that include grave sites and then they have the picture of the child that was killed, I start crying.
Yeah.
And so if people say, do you have a heart? Yeah, I do. Even though you say, you wrote this book, don't you have a heart? I do have a heart. And it really comes out when I have to talk about children whose lives ended early.
Yeah. That was actually one of the questions I was going to bring up is I think you and I both have an affinity for animals, a huge affinity for animals. And and before the show we were talking, you have a rescue. You go ahead and mention your rescue.
I've had rescues for a while. I had a lovely dog named Phoebe who was part border collie and part chow and part Newfie. Who didn't shed and didn't drool. So I really hit the jackpot. And we kidded around that she was so smart she could do calculus. And at the same time, I had Rufus, who was a schnoodle, who was the stupidest dog ever and the sweetest you'd ever find. And I've lost them several years ago. And I got Harley, and Harley is half pit and half lab. And she never met anyone who wasn't her best friend.
Aww.
So I've been really blessed with the rescues I've had.
Very nice, very nice. The as you mentioned in the book, it seems like, boy, when you're a psychopath all the way. And you, like you'd mentioned, it just seems like shooting the dog or getting rid of the dog. I mean, what is up with that?
Yes, leave the dog. Well, unless you're thinking, well, there won't be anybody to take care of the dog. But still, leave the dog alone.
Right.
And still, people are going to write it and say, oh, she doesn't care about the people. I care about the people.
Yeah.
Just really also care about the dog.
Right. Yeah. Like, what's the dog going to do? Call 911? Leave the dog alone. It just, it doesn't make any sense. That was one of the recurring themes I kept reading about in the book. And I went, why the dog? Leave the dog alone. It didn't make any sense.
Maybe there's a book there, Dogs Killed by Serial Killers.
Oh, that's a topic. I'm telling you, my friend.
Yeah, with pictures.
You could put a portion of the proceeds to all animal shelters. Just saying.
Yeah, there's a thought there. If I only had time to eat, I could consider that.
That's true. The other thing I thought was brilliant, and again, let's give people kind of an overview of what you've done here with this first book, Vacations Can Be Murder, a true crime lover's travel guide. Is you've taken New England and you've broken it up into states, and then in those states you kind of take us not only on the true crime journey but then the paranormal journey. But then you do a wonderful thing here, Dawn, and that is you take and you not only take and give us the true crime side and the paranormal side, and you give us histories, but then you also take and you've set up a literal tour guide, like, hey, you want to go on a true crime tour? Here's where you start. Here's where you finish. So I don't have to do the work. Tell me where that came from.
The most unique part of the book.
Yeah.
Is that you're not going to find anywhere else. I start with, yes, the states are all broken up, and then I have short summaries of the major crimes. And I look at that as an introduction to people who don't know the true crime stories, and sort of a primer for people who do. It's a primer for people who don't and a reminder for people who do. But they're short, and I acknowledge that I'm just summarizing the story. And then I give you books you can read to learn more about each of those stories. And I also include some books of crimes that I don't even have in the summaries, just to be as comprehensive as I can. And then I move into the I think that's when I move into the hotels and the restaurants that you can stay at and eat.
Yes.
When you get there, because you got to sleep somewhere and you got to eat. And again, all of this is broken up by city. So it's all alphabetical. So there's nothing sort of bringing it together. They could be flung in all different parts of the state. And then I am talking about the tours, the ghost tours and the true crime tours. And then I am talking about museums and other attractions that might be of interest. And then I get into where everybody's buried. And then I talk about the prisons, or I think I talk about the prisons before the burial. And then at the end, I include victim resources. So it really is a resource that, God forbid, something happens to you, you'll know where to go for all these different types of crime. And then I create itineraries that bring everything together by breaking the state up into different areas and then making a logical progression that brings all the elements together, which you wouldn't have been able to do just by reading it, because all of that was by city alphabetically.
Yeah. And it's all brilliantly put together. I mean, I'll tell you, I think you're going to just single-handedly stimulate economies in these areas based on based on the fact that you recommend a lot of good places to eat and a lot of great places to stay. But I'll just speak on the paranormal side of things. You're nailing every single haunted place for someone to stay if they want to stay. There are a lot. You have no idea, Don, how many people approach me and go, "Do you know of a good haunted place I can stay? One that no one's ever heard of before." And there were places in here that I was reading that I went, "I've never heard of that one before, really." And I thought, "Ooh, maybe I can get to that one before everyone else does."
Yeah, I don't know that I've got every single one. In fact, I have something at the beginning of the book that sort of says, by the way, I'm going to miss your favorite hotel, your favorite serial killer. If you have one,
sure.
Forgive me, because I like to be as comprehensive as I can, but I'm sure I've missed something. And then there were some that didn't want to be in the book. So if I've left something out, forgive me, but there was probably a reason why.
Oh, sure. And I'm sure there's a few that, because there are, and we know this, being investigators and stuff, that there are a few that go, no, I don't want the haunted history out there because I don't want people thinking that it's that type of hotel and I don't want to drive away potential customers. We hear that all the time, right? But I think those hotels are missing out on a potential cottage industry. They really are.
I do too.
Right.
I do too. Well, to my credit, I did not include in the list of hotels where someone was murdered. Unless like the Hotel Chelsea, in New York. Yeah, you've got Sid Vicious's girlfriend, Nancy Spungen, was killed there, but it's also haunted. Yeah. So I included it for that reason. But I don't say, be sure to stay in this hotel where 3 people were murdered. It is mentioned later with the address if you choose to stay there, but a lot of these places have closed as well. So if you want to walk and be at the spot where it happened, even though it might not be a hotel now, or it might have been razed to the ground in the case of many houses where there were mass murders, you can still be at that place, because I say it's as close as you can get to true crime while still breathing. And I think there's a certain person who wants to be in those places and feel like they're part of it.
Exactly. The other thing I find very interesting is in a lot of these different places, so you've got not only just the listing of a cemetery where someone's buried, but you got it right down to the plot number. I mean, you don't have to search. A lot of times, like if I want to see the grave of, even if it's a not so famous person or a famous person or someone who might have been killed by a serial killer or a serial killer, I might show up to a cemetery and go, okay, I think I want to kind of sneak in and see if I can find the grave. And it may take you hours to find that person. In some cases, you got it, boom, 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 right down to the plot number. Like you're like,
when they're available. There are a lot of times those plots aren't available, and I also apologize for that in the introduction. It's like, I'm only as good as the reference material out there. If they don't give it to me, I can't give it to you. But yeah, I'm pretty anal, so yeah, I tried to get as close as I could to being as comprehensive as possible. There are some cases, of course, where people are cremated, or in the case of Maine, people are buried at sea.
Okay.
I didn't see that in other states, but I definitely saw it in Maine, and so I explained that I can only give you where there are graves.
Is it safe to say, or should we put the warning out now, or put the disclaimer out now? Please don't go deface any of these graves if you have that information. I mean, you never know what people do with that information, but I mean, the information.
Never thought even of that. I never even conceived that someone would do that. Although I don't give the exact house numbers of private homes where anything has happened.
Right.
For that exact reason. Not that I thought that the houses would be defaced, but I thought that people would be outside gawking. And so I'll give you the block number. You know, if you really cared, you could find the information. I have the information from my research. You could find it, but I didn't want to be the one making the problem. What's interesting, because I'm also a realtor, is that stigmatized properties often go for more than you would imagine because of the stigma. But I didn't want somebody reading this and saying, oh, wait, I didn't realize that my home was the site of a mass killing. Because, you know, as realtors, we don't really emphasize here, you want to see this house.
Yeah.
Because somebody was killed there. Most times people don't want that, although there is a segment of the population who definitely wants to buy that kind of property.
Yeah, there is, just for the notoriety, right? The reason why I say that is there is it's a tiny part of the population, and I emphasize this, Don, tiny part of the population that wants that information strictly because they feel it's in their psyche that they need to take vengeance on someone for someone else, like they have a mat on for society, and that they're the only ones who can avenge an innocent victim, and that they feel like they can do that by even getting after someone after they've died, and it's a weird psychological tick, is the weirdest way I can put it.
Yeah, I did not. Hold on just one sec. I did not even think of that. And I will say here, please don't do that.
Yeah.
I would also add that I am not the first one to say where these graves are. Anybody can find those locations online. So it's not like I have brought these locations to the public's knowledge.
You far from open Pandora's box here. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those.
Just one more thing for me to worry about. Thanks, Tim.
No. I didn't mean to worry you here, Don. That's not what I meant to do. I didn't mean to give you nightmares tonight or anything like that, or agita or anything like that. It's just one of those things that we have to. I feel like I have to mention, because with our tourism, obviously you do get some different personalities that want to engage in it. I mean, is that fair to say?
I think it's fair. I'm amazed that with my own paranoia, I never conceived that could happen. I thought of a lot of things that could happen, but I didn't think of that. So thanks. That's one of the reasons I write psychological thrillers, because I already anticipate the most horrible thing that can happen, but give me something else.
Well, I'm glad I can add to your lexicon for a future book. I'm here to serve.
Thanks.
I suppose that's a good place as any to take a break. And then when we come back, I have an interesting story about one of the places in the book. Believe it or not. Okay. As I was perusing the book, I had I'll just call it as I see it here, kids, earmuffs. I had a holy shit moment. And it had to do with a hotel in Rhode Island that we did an event with the TAPS crew, with the Ghost Hunters crew, way back in 2006. And I went, oh, that wasn't a La Quinta the last time I was in it, but it was something else. But it's actually changed hands a few times. But I know exactly where that is. So we'll tell you about it when we come back. And there are so many great locations and so many different places in this book. Again, it's available for pre-order right now. We have a link to it in the description of the program. The book is called Vacations Can Be Murder, a True Crime Lover's Travel Guide. It's a wonderful book, folks. I highly recommend you go in, click the link, pre-order this book. It's fantastic. And again, it's a series that Don's working on. When we come back, we'll talk about that experience in Rhode Island, and we'll talk about some of the other fascinating locations and states that are available in this book that you can learn a little bit about. Don Barclay is the guest. When we come back, that trip to Rhode Island, next on True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. My guest is Don Barclay. The book is a fascinating one, folks. And again, it answers all the questions you've ever asked me over the years. Where can I take a vacation where I can get either some true crime tourism or some paranormal tourism? And where can I see the hot spots? Don has answered all of it for you. Don Barclay, my guest. The book is Vacations Can Be Murder, a true crime lover's travel guide. But there's paranormal stuff in here as well, folks. She's covered it all. She's got all your bases covered. She even tells you where to go from beginning to end for a true crime tour or a paranormal tour. It's all in here. Every single bit of it. There's even places to stay, good restaurants to eat good food. She's got you covered. So again, it's available for pre-order. The link is in the description of this program. So you're going to want to check it out. So Don, when we left people, I was telling you about a La Quinta Inn in Warwick, Rhode Island. I've never known how to pronounce the name of this town.
Warwick, I think.
Warwick, Rhode Island. In 2006, we were doing an event. It was one of our first events with the Ghost Hunters folks. So it was Jason Hawes and Grant Wilson and Steve Gonzalez. I believe Dave Tango was a part of the group at that time. And many of the others that were on the show in that first season. And we were staying at what you have listed now as the La Quinta Inn. And I believe there are two rooms you list as being haunted, which they are very haunted. There's also a back hallway, which had an unusual amount of activity, and it led into a stairwell. And we got some things in that back stairwell, which were just freaky. But I tell you, when I saw that La Quinta Inn was listed, I damn near jumped out of my seat and screamed. And I was surprised that somebody had recognized it in a book.
Cool. So did I list what it had been before?
No, you didn't.
Because I usually have the previous location, what it was. Or a lot of times when something is now something different, I'll list what it was and what it is now.
It was the La Quinta by the airport. So,
yeah.
But no, it's changed hands so many times. I'm trying to remember what it was when we were there. I don't remember what it was when we were there, but I think it's probably changed hands so many times that it's many national chains I think have been through there, but La Quinta has it.
Yeah,
now.
and a lot of times things have changed even since I wrote the book, because I wrote the book a year ago, and I've tried to update it when I was doing the edits. There were a couple of places that I updated, but what can you do with travel? Things change, and you have the address at least, so you can see what it is now.
But that's one of those books, or one of those entries in the book, that you mentioned. You didn't mention if they had a murder or not. I have it on good authority from somebody who worked there at the time that a murder did take place there. So,
okay.
Yeah. So
makes sense. I mean, There's a ghost for a reason.
Right. And I won't tell the story behind it because I don't know if any of the original workers that were there when it happened. One of the deaths that happened there in one of the rooms was a drug death, but the other one was a murder. So, yeah. I was surprised by how many hotels had closed since murders had happened there. A lot. Yeah.
A lot had closed down. And some were very hard to find where they actually were. Like you see them mentioned in the newspaper articles, and then you have to do some detective work to figure out what they are now. Or, sometimes you see in one case, there was a postcard that was online of the hotel from a newspaper from way back or some archive. And it was a lot of work to try to figure out where it actually was.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a really seedy dive hotel.
Yep.
You would not have stayed at because people rented by the hour.
Yep. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It was. Yeah. And that's what the employee had told us. In fact, we sat up late one night talking to this employee who had originally worked there when the death. I think when one of the deaths had gone down, one of the deaths had happened before they started, but they had got it firsthand from one of the people who had been there when it happened. When the murder happened, they were there for the drug death. And they were describing the drug death to us. And it was interesting. It was interesting to get firsthand information about what had happened at that hotel. And so because we had gotten a name, I won't say the name, but we had gotten a first name of the person who had died from the drug death. So we had actually gone up and done EVP work to see if we could make contact with whatever spirit might potentially be there. So it was interesting stuff. I mean, it was a interesting trip. That's for sure. I also, Don, on that exact same trip, killed a 1.5 pound lobster in the lobby of that hotel. I mean, I ate it all with potatoes and all. I was very full on the way back to Minnesota. Just saying. So, yeah.
Well, I would list lobster up with chocolate and travel and animals as things I love.
There you go. Right. And I mean, in Minnesota, you can't get a good lobster. So.
Yes, that's true. That's a shame.
Yeah.
You have to go to Maine.
Yeah. So you got to go to the East Coast to get a good lobster. So, but I digress. But yeah, I absolutely popped when I saw that hotel was listed in the book. I mean, you're doing a thorough job when you get the La Quinta at the airport in Warwick, Rhode Island, and you've listed it right there in the book. So I figured if you got that one in there, Don, you're doing your homework. That's for sure.
Thank you.
You have there are a lot of landmarks that people will recognize as well, but there are some kind of off the beaten paths landmarks as well. I want to talk about some of the more well-known ones. Let's talk a little bit about Salem, Massachusetts. And when we talk about Salem, you can talk about the true crime side of it, or you could talk about the paranormal side of it. It's funny that they come together, that area of Massachusetts. You could talk about the witch trials. And when you talk witch trials, you could talk about the law side of it. You could talk about the paranormal side of it. But either way, a fascinating city. When we go to Salem, what should we be looking for?
Well, is there not a wax museum as well as I have a lot of hotels in Salem to stay at, and books about Salem and tours, a lot of tours.
Right.
So, the Salem Witch Trials Memorial. You have, I know there's a wax museum there, and the Salem Witch Village. So I have all those included there.
Okay. Talking about the different states involved and talking about the different areas, let me ask you this. What was the toughest state for you to pull a tour together for?
Vermont.
Vermont?
Pretty much because there's a lot of cold cases. Okay. And there's not a lot of crime. And so one of the rules I had for picking where I was going to choose is there had to be a number of different locations involved so that you had someplace to go. That's one of the reasons when I did New York, you don't have Central Park included for the preppy killer, because it's like some vague area in Central Park. There's nowhere to send you. Whereas Boston Strangler, all of the addresses for all of the apartment buildings were there for me. So it was really easy for me to do. Vermont, a lot of cold cases and not so much crime. So that was interesting. Whereas Massachusetts is definitely the biggest chapter and the longest chapter in the New England Guide. I would say it takes maybe a third of the book.
Okay. What area surprised you as having more crime than you thought they would have?
Probably Massachusetts. I think I did not realize, and I went to school in Massachusetts, and I didn't realize anything. I mean, people think of Boston Strangler and they think of the bombings, but I didn't think of Charles Ponzi, which was actually one of the most interesting parts of the book for me.
Yeah.
He's so damn dedicated. He was out between trials and he was down in Florida selling land underwater. I mean, that's dedication.
That is dedication. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was interesting. I think also in Connecticut, there was a lot that I didn't realize had happened in Connecticut, and some of it fairly recent. That was interesting. And I know now in Rhode Island, there was a lot of mobster activity that I included. Yeah. I mean, different states have different personalities. It's like there's more mass shootings in Pennsylvania for some reason.
Right.
And there seems to be some states, it might have been some states like you were talking about that had more child abuse.
Yeah.
Or things happening to children. None of it made me particularly happy. But, again, I separate myself from it and look at it more like a historian.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a historical document and a reference guide. So, it was, I learned all the way through because I did not come into it with a lot of preconceptions. I was not one of those people who studies true crime and reads a lot of it. So I was coming in kind of blank. And I think that's a good thing because then like I said, I didn't have preconceived notions of who I wanted to focus on.
From a paranormal aspect, I take it probably, with the activity up in Salem, I would think maybe Massachusetts was probably your most active, or what was your most active paranormal state?
Yeah, that was probably it because of Salem and also Fall River.
Oh, yes.
For Lizzie Borden.
Yeah, for Lizzie Borden. What was your least active paranormal state? What was the one that was probably the easiest to write about?
Again, I think Vermont had less than anything else. In Vermont and New Hampshire were not particularly active. I mean, I've dug up places, so to speak.
Yeah.
But they were not as much.
Is it just the quiet lifestyle there? Is that why it was, or is it more?
No. I think that when you get to Wisconsin, you're going to have lots and lots of crime, and you think of Wisconsin as kind of a sleepy little place, but
no,
that could have its own chapter, its own book as well. From what I'm sort of reading ahead.
I tell you what's going to surprise you, Dawn, about Wisconsin and Iowa. Sleepy doesn't mean sleepy.
Yeah, people have nothing to do; they go around killing people.
That's right. Yeah, they go around killing people, or they go around.
Why am I laughing?
I know. No, it's. I make Ed Gein jokes all the time. Don't worry about it. It's not a. There's humor behind that. There's dark humor behind it. One of my favorite things to do with Wisconsin friends is send them summer sausage and say, "Look, I made people meat for you." So no, I'm kidding. Or send them a belt and say, "Look, I made something out of your aunt." No, I'm kidding. It's a joke. It's a bad joke, but it's a joke. They don't like that humor, by the way. Don't ever do that with a friend from Wisconsin. By the way, have you been to, speaking of dark tourism, have you been to Zach Bagans Museum in Las Vegas?
No, I have not.
I highly suggest
I know
you go.
But I have not been there.
I highly suggest you go. Yeah, it's well worth it. Well worth it.
You know where I have been? I have been to the Eastern State Penitentiary in Pennsylvania, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And I've been to the Mother Museum also in Philadelphia, and that was interesting too. And I mentioned both in that. Going ahead to the next book that's coming out, hopefully in August, those are both covered in that book.
So what areas are you covering now in the book that's coming out in August? So what part
in August is New York, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. So that was originally going to be a book with 6 states. And I had to throw out D.C. and Delaware and Maryland because there was so much crime just between New York, New Jersey, and Massachusetts that I was over the word count that my publisher wanted. So it became Capital Region is going to be its own book. I mean, New York was almost 30,000 words just in that state. I had to leave out the whole western side of the state. because there was so much going on between, say, the capital region and Albany down to Long Island. And I figured if people come into New York City, those are ways they can go for day tours to either down to Long Island or up to Albany. So that was just, and then if you didn't kill like 5 or 6 people, you didn't get in. I had to make some really hard choices.
Jeez. So you had to have a resume.
There's cannibalism in New York. There's like infanticide. There's just so much horribleness. And I've got it all. So look for that in August.
Wow. Okay.
Definitely a grittier book than the New England book. Definitely.
Well, New England, I think, is a good place to start. You've got plenty here. I mean, you're not lacking for material, that's for sure. And I think you get a nice balance of both the true crime and the paranormal to get people going. I mean, there's a lot of, man, I'll tell you this much, Don, when you sit down to read it and you get the full history, this is not a knock at all. It's like being hit with a fire hose. I mean, there's so much to see. If you were to take a trip to New England, it's perfect. I'll tell you, this book is coming out in perfect time for people to plan late summer, early fall trips. And it's, and get that.
It's great for road trips, even for families with older kids that are interested in the paranormal or crime. There are police museums if they're interested in justice. There are courthouses if they're interested in justice. So it's not like you should avoid taking children. I just think older children. And a lot of the ghost tours allow children as well. Sometimes they're 16 and up. Yeah. But you have to pick and choose because there's certainly a lot to choose from. But yeah, for road trips, I think it's RV, people in RVs. I think it all would be of interest to them. And August, you'll go in for next year.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm thinking there'll be 2 a year for the next several years.
Well, there you go. And it's a wonderful series. It's a wonderful series idea. I don't know. Again, I don't know why it hasn't been done sooner, but I think you're not only taking on a huge task, but it's a wonderful task you're taking on because it's answering a lot of questions that I've run into. I can't tell you how many times in the last 20 years where someone has asked me this exact same information and you're answering all those questions. All right, so I'm going to ask you this one last question before we leave people today, and that's this. I'm going to have you speculate for me here. What do you think is going to be the toughest state to try and get all this information out of?
California.
Really?
Because there are a lot of lunatics who move to California. I think, you've got the Manson, you've got so much in California. And I even see that from the eastern states where people ended up traveling to California and committing crimes there. So I think that's going to be rough. I think the western states, I'm going to have to make some decisions because there's going to be a lot of things in the Old West, and I'll have to decide how much I'm going to include. But, worst comes to worst, states are going to get their own books. Yeah. And then I'll just keep adding to it.
Could there potentially be 2 volumes for California? Would there be that much? No?
I'm hoping not. I suppose you could break it up to Northern and Southern California, but I'm hoping that I get it all. 80,000 words I can go up to. I think I can, there'll be some things that get left out. I can't include everything as much as that drives me nuts because I'm so crazy about being comprehensive, but some things are going to get left out.
True. Very true. Well, this one's a wonderful one, folks, and a great place to start. And especially, again, if you're looking for a great guide, if you're looking to travel to New England, especially this late summer, early fall, and you're looking for a great way to combine it. And I'll tell you what, this would be a great book if you're looking to do Halloween in Salem. You'd have a perfect guide. I'm just saying. It's available for pre-order right now. It's called Vacations Can Be Murder, a true crime lover's travel guide. Don Barclay has been my guest. And again, the link is in the description of the program to pre-order. I highly encourage you to do so. Don, I want to thank you so much for being on the program today.
Thank you so much for having me. And just a note to your listeners, if you've done a lot of travel like this, I'd love to feature you on the Vacations Can Be Murder blog. You can go to vacationscanbemurder.com to see that blog, but I would be happy to write you up and talk to you about some of the adventures you've had.
Oh, that'd be perfect. Yeah, I encourage you guys to do that as well. Yeah, by all means. Go on the vacations and let Don know about what you experienced and contribute to future volumes. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. So, folks, it's time now for us to, I don't think we can lighten it up any more than we have, but we're going to lighten it up a little bit more. It's time now for us to bring in Jessica Freeberg, and it's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time again, the time you've all been looking forward to. It's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals, and with that, we need a co-hostess, and we bring back a returning co-hostess at that. Ladies and gentlemen, fresh from her tour of looking for haunted bookshelves, and fresh off of, let's face it, dominating the Hindustan Times #1 bestseller list, she's back with us. She's intelligent, she's witty, she's got 3 books that have dominated those charts. Let's see. Oh, she's funny. She's gorgeous. We forgot that part. We don't ever want to forget that part. And she brings the funny. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is, back on the program after a well-deserved week off. Jessica Freeberg. Hi, Jess. How you doing?
Hey, I'm great. Can you believe these bookshelves behind me? If you guys are watching on video, they're amazing.
Look at them. I mean, you look very studious now. I'm not going to lie. It looks like you're broadcasting from a university.
Right? It's like I'm a lawyer or something. I feel really smart.
Right. Well, you already are very smart. I mean, let's not downplay that. But
yeah.
But there's but man, look at that. Are those oak?
I think they're mahogany. I mean, they're real wood. They're so heavy, and we got them from an old mansion in Stillwater, and that mansion was built in 1880, and they're not original to the house, but they were in the men's parlor, and the guy was going to redo the room, and he couldn't have them in there anymore. So we bought them, and I love them.
Wow. They're impressive. I'll give you that.
They're floor to ceiling almost. I mean, and our ceilings are like 10 feet tall, so they're like 9-foot tall bookcases, and they go from one end of the wall to the other. They're so big. So next I have to get a ladder, because I need a ladder hooked on a bar up there, so I can like slide across it, like Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
I'd never leave the room if you had that.
I know. I barely leave this room anyway.
Yeah.
Because I'm always working.
But I mean, you just take a break and go sliding on the ladder back and forth and back and forth. And then you get off and continue working. I mean,
yeah, my poor husband, though, he's like, well, you need a ladder to slide on? I'm like, what?
Well, yeah.
Like, duh, babe, you got to have a ladder.
Right. What else do you do when you have bookshelves that big?
Can't even get to the top without a ladder.
That's right. And we're not talking some plastic Home Depot thing. No,
it has to be really cool.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be the library ladder with the pole that goes across that you can slide on.
Yeah. And I have a whole section devoted to Stephen King books, and I have a whole section for my books. It's so fun.
Look at that. Yeah.
Like a librarian. I don't know.
I'm going to have to send you the extra books that I have laying around the house here. You got to fill those those shelves up.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. See? I'm just saying. I mean, I know you probably have plenty of your own, but I mean,
You can never have too many books, though, Tim.
That's true. That's very true. I'd probably just send you this. Yeah, I still have Richard Estep's Dark Spirits here. So yeah, I got it right here. I'd probably just send you this one.
Ooh, I need that one. That one looks so good.
It is. It's a very good book. Yeah. We've been pretty fortunate the last few weeks to have a cavalcade of great guests. I just made that term up.
Cavalcade?
Cavalcade of great guests. It's an old 80s term, I guess. Yeah. Cavalcade of stars. Remember when they'd have cavalcades of stars that would show up on TV shows? Yeah. But yeah, had a pretty good lineup. last few weeks.
Gosh, yeah, you've really been bringing it.
Yeah, now it's going to be like Pogo the Clown and stuff like that. No, I'm kidding. No, yeah, but we still have some really good guests coming up. You know what? I have an author coming up. I'll tell you off air that I think is going to intrigue you.
Ooh, I always love your authors. I mean, I tell you guys, I listen to the show. Like, I'm a fan and a co-host, but when I'm not on, I listen to the show. I try not to listen to my shows because I think I sound stupid.
No, whatever.
The rest of them are awesome.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you off air. She's going to be on April 10th, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah,
well, and
yeah.
really, a lot of the books on my bookshelf, I pick up when you have authors on. Like, I listen and I'm like, that sounds so good. Like, several of those are from your guests.
It's a different type of haunting. I'll tell you about it when we get off air. Yeah. You'll be intrigued and you'll be like, why didn't somebody think of that before?
I'm excited to hear about it.
I'll tell you when we get off air. Yeah. Today's guest, Don McGraw, I'll tell you, the idea of combining paranormal true crime and a travel guide was pretty darn good. I'll tell you that. That whole deal, that was brilliant. And then being able to, and then putting together not only the recommended, and you know what, I may forward you that PDF just so you can take a look at it. It's a rough one.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean it's available for pre-order right now, but again, that in fact, let me it's Don McGraw, or MacGraw. If you guys are looking it up at home, I don't say the name very well. It's MacGraw, but it's McGraw. It's pronounced McGraw. Vacations Can Be Murder is the name of the book, and yeah. And it's a series. Ooh. She's writing this series for all over the U.S. and she started with New England. So,
I'm definitely pre-ordering this. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
It's true stories of murders that happen on vacation?
Well, no, it's murders in general. And what it is, it's a travel guide. So you go all over. Yep. So, and not only does she tell you about these different landmarks that you can visit, but she also gives you restaurants. She gives you haunted hotels. She gives you, and then she maps it out for you. So if you want to take a true crime tour, she'll tell you where to start and where to end. And then she'll tell you about a paranormal tour, where to start and where to end. It combines both the true crime and the paranormal aspects. So.
I feel like Dawn and I need to hang out.
Right?
What's up, Dawn?
Yeah.
Let's be friends.
Yeah, she's amazing. So yeah, it was, she's quite the lady. So, yeah. So with that, let's jump into Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals here. Jess, I'll tell you, one person I don't want to travel with is our first person in today's show. Mainly because they're pretty easy to catch. And the way they were caught, fake license plate.
Oh.
I'll just start with that.
Stupid.
Yeah. We're starting immediately with the stupid today. Police found drugs, a replica firearm as well after a drive-through disturbance from this person. And they were pretty easy to spot because they had a fake license plate. 2 men were arrested early Thursday of last week after a police search following a drive-through disturbance in Carleton Place. I believe we're going to Canada for this. We're going to Ontario. Yielded quantities of illegal drugs, a replica firearm, and other drug-related material. Police say they were called to the unnamed restaurant at about, of course, they didn't want to be embarrassed either, at about 12:45 a.m. on reports of a disturbance. An early clue that things were amiss was the discovery of a homemade cardboard license plate on one of the vehicles. That's right. And homemade cardboard license plate.
Cardboard.
Yeah. Pretty easy to spot.
Even dumber than I thought it was going to be.
Yep. I wonder what the license plate read. Just my car.
Cardboard.
Vanity plate.
Yeah.
This here, my car. And then a little stamp on the outside, maybe. 2 men were arrested and a search led to the discovery of about 23 grams of suspected cocaine, 37 pills of suspected MDMA, or the Molly, as the kids say, a replica firearm, and other drug-related gear. 42-year-old Kevin Langlois of Kingston, and Dylan Mullen Begin of Ottawa, all of 30 years old, were charged with 2 counts of possession of Schedule I substance and failure to comply with a probation order. Langlois was also charged with using an altered license plate. Yeah, that cardboard doesn't go very far. The accused were held for a bail hearing before the Ontario Court of Justice in Perth. So there you go. First story right out the gate. Fake license plate. Although I don't know that they have anything compared to our next story, which was sent in by one of our listeners. By the way, if you have a story for us, tim@darknessradio.com, if you have a dumb crime or stupid criminal for us. This woman, Jess, was arrested after ramming Connecticut police cruisers and leading them on a high-speed pursuit. Sometimes if you want to get the police and their attention, you just ram them. You know, don't send them an invite. Don't send them an email. Don't send them a nice little invitation. Don't call them on 911. Just ram them in their little cruiser with your car.
Just play bumper cars with them. Why not?
That's right. Get their attention the old-fashioned way. The woman was stopped for traffic violations and had an active warrant. She struck 2 cruisers and a gas station pump as she tried to flee the stop.
Yikes.
Yeah, she's a little aggressive, just a little bit. We're going to Norwich, Connecticut, where an Old Saybrook woman, we're not saying she's old, we're saying the town's name is Old Saybrook, was arrested Thursday after ramming a pair of state police cruisers and leading troopers on a chaotic high-speed pursuit on Interstate 395 that ended when she crashed her car into a guardrail. That, according to officials, 33-year-old Electra Chilui. Boy, that's a last name.
Electra, too. That's a great first name.
That's a great first name. Now, when you're naming a daughter and you want to name a daughter a name that you know, I think there's safe names to name a daughter if you want her to be studious, right? Sarah's a good name if you want her to be studious and maybe, I don't want to say well-behaved because you don't want your daughter to be well-behaved. You want her to make history, right?
That's right.
That's right. So, but a nice safe name is Sarah or Stephanie or, a nice safe name, right? But you want to, let's just call it as it is, Jess. You want a nice name for your daughter where she's going to raise hell and kick up rocks. Electra, there's a good name. Just saying.
And maybe be a stripper.
Well,
you just see her wearing, not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I keep saying if I could flaunt it, I'm too old for it now, but I could sure use the money with my 2 kids in college. I just see Electra wearing, spandex and a bra top, really,
Either a stripper or a ninja. I mean, there was an Electra
and saving
Daredevil.
the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I still think you could carry it, Jess, but that's just me. If you chose to put the kids through college.
God bless you, Timmy.
Electra Chiuli, I think her last name is. She's all of 33 years old, was taken into custody after officers found her hiding under the deck of a home near the site of the wreck. That, according to a news release from the Connecticut State Police. That's a good hiding place. I mean, if you're trying to play hide and go seek from the cops under a deck, that'll work.
Oh, Tim, think of all the stuff that's under the deck, though. Spiders, mice, just critters for sure.
Yeah. But if you got treats in your pocket, they'll leave you alone for a bit. That's the way I look at it. Officials said troopers first encountered Chiuli at around 3 p.m., then one observed her driving a black Subaru Legacy on State Route 2 in Bozrah and noticed the vehicle was missing its front license plate and failing to maintain its lane. State police said an inquiry of the vehicle showed its owner, Chiuli, was wanted on an active arrest warrant in connection with a pursuit involving the Old Saybrook police that took place a week earlier. So it wasn't her first go around this month.
Wow. Electra's keeping herself busy.
Well, she's got the name. You got to keep up the reputation, right? The trooper followed the vehicle until it stopped at a gas station on State Route 97 in Norwich, or Norwich. It could be Norwich. I like saying Norwich because it's kind of old English, right? Where they were met with backup due to Chiuli's history of police pursuits. The troopers used a box-in technique around her car to prevent her from driving away. But Chiuli refused to exit the vehicle, reversed her car when officers broke out a rear window, and then accelerated into the driver's side door of a state police cruiser. She got busy on this, I guess.
Yeah, I literally love bumper cars.
Yeah. Officials said she then accelerated backwards and collided with a fuel pump and then rammed a second cruiser, allowing her to maneuver past the vehicle and leave the gas station parking lot. Even with all this action, Jess, no injuries were sustained to any state police personnel or members of the police or the public.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Nobody got hurt. I'm impressed.
I'm impressed too. I mean, that's like a lot of hitting things.
Yeah, that's a lot of action.
You could have caused an explosion hitting the gas tank, right?
Right.
Like, this could have been a scene out of an action movie.
Right. It could have been disastrous hitting the gas pump, that's for sure.
And I just see Electra coming out of the flames, and her spandex and her studded bra.
In that just slow motion run as she's trying to get away from
kind of a
cops.
Baywatch kind of run, only more Catwoman-ish.
Yeah, and someone screamed singing in the background from the 80s. I will remember you. Something like that. Yeah, something like that. Maybe.
I like Electra. If I was going to have another kid, I think I might use that name.
Use Electra, just
to see how much trouble she could get into.
Yeah, you got to have one hellion in the family, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
My kids are all so good.
There you go. Police said Chiuli attempted to flee officers at a high rate of speed on the northbound lanes of I-395. Officials said she left the highway at exit 19 and continued on State Route 169 before striking a guardrail while trying to turn left onto... That's a name of a road? Stranad Road in Lisbon, I guess. Chiuli then fled the scene on foot and was later found with the help of a canine unit hiding under the deck of a nearby home surrounded by bundles of suspected narcotics and narcotic paraphernalia. That's how I would expect Electra to go out. Smoking.
Yeah.
Right. I guess. Police said she was then placed under arrest without incident. So she just lit up and went, take me in. I don't. You got me.
I've caused enough damage.
Yeah. I think we've had a fun enough afternoon. I need a rest.
You man, like all of that to get away, and then she's just like, okay, I'm done.
You got me.
I'm tired.
Yeah. I had enough of a rest under this deck. I think we're good. She was also charged with possession of drug paraphernalia, possession of a controlled substance, criminal attempt at assault on public safety officers, first-degree reckless endangerment, 3 counts of first-degree criminal mischief, and 2 counts of interfering with an officer, and a partridge in a pear tree. Police said Chiuli was held on $500,000 bond. They don't screw around over there in Connecticut, do they?
I like it.
Yeah.
That seems fair.
Online court records show that she has not yet entered a plea in the case and is scheduled to appear on April 15th in Norwich Superior Court. Oh, Electra. So, she's just got a string of exes she's just left behind that are...
Oh, yeah. I mean, I really want to write a book and Electra's the main character. I feel it in my heart.
Yep. Just a string of exes that are left sore and heartbroken.
Just a little spitfire.
Yep. And weeping. I see all the exes as sore, heartbroken, and weeping. You were the love of my life, Electra. I don't know why they have southern accents or in Connecticut. But yeah, she's like, oh, pish posh. There, she's got the Kennedy accent.
So she's English.
Yeah, she's Electra Kennedy. I've renamed her. Yeah. Pish posh, I never loved you. Yeah. So that's how that goes. Well, if you thought that was fun, I have another story here from another listener. A woman was arrested after being found in bed with a dead man lying on top of her.
What?
It gets better, Jess. Yeah, we're ramping up today. That's what we're doing. We're going to Michigan for this one. We're going to Livingston County, where a woman in Michigan was arrested after police allegedly found her in bed with a dead man on top of her. Here in Minnesota, we just call that after sex cuddling.
Just keeping warm.
Yeah, we got to do that. It gets cold here. Yeah, so. According to a statement from the Green Oak Charter Township Police Department, officers responded at around 11:13 a.m., that is quite late in the day, to a report of a possible death at a mobile home community. When officers arrived, they found a woman in bed with an obviously deceased male on top of her. There are so many jokes here.
I mean, was he in rigor? Like, I don't know. I can't even stand it when my husband puts an arm over me when I'm trying to fall asleep because it feels like dead weight. I can't imagine a whole body on top of me. I'm getting claustrophobic just thinking about it.
You're stiffer than usual. Yeah, right? Yeah. You want to get up now? After the initial investigation, it was determined that this was a homicide, authorities wrote.
Oh my gosh.
Death by...
What is happening?
Right? Police said that the victim was struck several times with blunt force in the head and stabbed several times in the chest and neck.
Why was he on top of her? Carry on. I need to hear the rest of it.
Okay. The woman and the victim have been in a long-term relationship and living at the home with their son, who was unharmed. Well, you don't want him included in this deal either.
Oh.
Yeah. The woman was taken to a hospital for evaluation while in custody, it says. There's no further details, though, as to how he got on top of her. Yeah.
So she was taken into custody. So she clearly killed him and then just used him as a human blanket. That's so messed up.
Maybe she wanted a long hug goodbye. I don't know.
Oh.
Bizarre story, though, right?
Very weird.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this, Jess. What's the most aggressive thing you've ever done as far as hiking or scaling anything or climbing or especially out in public, like a hiking trail or a monument or I don't know. Have you ever?
I mean, we did Zion National Park and we did some pretty hard trails and climbed some pretty steep trails there. So
have you ever wanted to climb Mount Rushmore and get stuck in a president's nose or anything like that?
I mean, no.
No.
I'm afraid of heights. So even doing Zion, and I had to look at my feet most of the time.
Yeah.
So I was scared.
Yeah. In the Rocky Mountains, I've had those feelings ooh, too high. Stuff like that.
And before we went, I Googled how many people die there a year, and it's quite a lot. A lot of people actually fall and die from falling. And so my girls were all getting their selfies, and it's always people dying from getting too close to the edge to get a selfie. I'm just just don't look at them. I've already warned them 10,000 times.
Right.
Pretend they're okay.
Well, this guy didn't heed those warnings. I mean, he was a little gung-ho, and he got arrested for it. And of course, he's from Germany. So the land of gung-ho, so to speak. A German tourist was arrested after scaling Chichen Itza and the pyramid there during the spring equinox. Hey, sometimes you got to get aggressive, I guess. Especially during the spring equinox. I don't know.
Makes you crazy.
Yeah, you get a little crazy during the spring equinox, don't you? I know I do. I like to redecorate and, climb pyramids. Who knew? Yeah.
Who doesn't, Tim? Everyone.
Just the extra energy I get. Among the thousands of tourists from around the world flocking to Chichen Itza for the spring equinox, two decided to break the rules by climbing the iconic temple of the... It looks like Kukla, Fran, and Ollie, according to this, but No, it's the Kukulkan. Yes. On Thursday, in separate incidents, 2 foreign tourists evaded security and scaled. Boy, I need to get my glasses changed. Scaled the pyramid known as El Castillo. And then there's a bunch of stuff in Spanish. Oh, this is the actual tweet that they sent out in Spanish. Boy, were they pissed. You can tell when everything's in capital letters that they really didn't like the fact that he scaled the pyramid.
Oh, yeah, they're scream typing this.
Oh, they did? Yeah, they were like, Turista sube el Castillo de Chichen Itza durante el equinoccio.
Roughly translated to say, that son of a bitch.
Yeah, right. That son of a bitch jumped on Chichen Itza, is what I think it said. I'm not sure. Somebody will correct me. I should get a hold of my buddy Angel. He'll tell me. Visitors to the ancient Maya site in the state of Yucatan, there were around 8,000 to 9,000 on Thursday, with 11,000 to 12,000 expected on last Friday to the actual equinox, reacted by yelling angrily at the two. One of the offenders was a 38-year-old German man who was physically confronted by the crowd and received a blow to the forehead that drew blood.
Nice.
He was like, "Don't you climb our pyramid." And then they smacked him. Yeah. Apparently, some people were even shouting that he be sacrificed.
What?
Yeah, we thought we left that in the Dark Ages, but evidently not.
Wow.
Yeah, in allusion to the human and animal sacrifices that the Maya once carried out at the highest point of the pyramid. So, a few people wanted to go back to the old days.
Wow, they were mad.
A little bit. You shouldn't be scaling Chichen Itza, evidently. The situation escalated to the point where the National Guard personnel and agents from the National Institute of Anthropology and History, or INAH, were attacked while trying to protect him from the angry crowd. He eluded us, even though we're keeping watch on the western side of the temple, said a National Guard member who declined to give his name. He ran past us. He's clearly in good physical condition.
He's just so fast.
He's that fast, and he's that physically fit.
Wow.
The incident echoed a situation in 2022 when a woman who climbed up Kukulkan, I know I'm not pronouncing it right. You can send me emails and tell me otherwise. Was subjected to shouts of "lock her up" and jail" after her descent. This is the person in 2022. Chichen Itza visitor faces angry mob after illegally climbing Kukulkan pyramid, was the headline in Mexico News Daily the next day. I don't know, is it a challenge? Is this a TikTok challenge I'm not getting? Or
oh my gosh, it probably is. And then you get to the top and you do some stupid dance.
Yeah, and then you do the little Mayan dance, and then they throw you off the top and sacrifice you. I don't know. Is that a thing? I'm not sure. The spring equinox at Chichen Itza is a significant annual event, always attracting large crowds. Most come for a phenomenon known as the Descent of the Feathered Serpent, which I think was a David Bowie album, if I remember right.
Sounds about right.
It occurs when sunlight creates a shadow resembling a serpent descending the pyramid stairs. The site's equinox program includes activities from March 20th to March 24th. However, it does not include climbing the stairs on a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the new 7 wonders of the world, by the way. An act that is prohibited and has been prohibited since 2006 to protect the structure. So no climbing the pyramid, kids. That's a no-no.
God.
Yeah, you can be arrested for that. Thursday's culprits were handed over to the authorities, facing potential fines under Article 55 of the federal law on archaeological, artistic, and historical monuments and zones in Mexico. The German man who breached security protocols reportedly attempted to hide in the pyramid chamber. Oh, that's a big no-no, too. Don't do that. But was eventually escorted down by INAH custodians. Things not to do in Mexico that will get you arrested. Just saying.
Honestly, I'd be afraid. I'd go home with a ghost. I'd be so haunted after pulling those shenanigans.
You take home the Mayan ancestors with you?
You can't even buy a bookshelf without bringing a ghost home.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, you did you want to tell people about potential bookshelf ghosts?
Oh, well, it seems we might have a little ghost with the bookshelf. Yes. My son, the day after we brought them home, saw someone go upstairs and the dogs were freaking out. He called me and I could hear the dogs freaking out in the background. And he thought it was me, but I wasn't here. So he called me. He's like, "Are you upstairs? Like, are you here?" And I'm like, "No, what's going on?"
And see, I feel bad now because I had made a joke on your social media talking about, oh, you have haunted bookshelves. Congratulations.
Tim, everything's haunted. And yeah, this morning I was getting my daughter her water for her water bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was holding it there, you have to push a button to make it turn to ice. All of a sudden it just turned to ice. I'm like, I'm not even touching it.
Whoa. Well,
so there might be a little ghost.
Maybe the ghosts are helpful.
I feel like. I mean, it has good energy. So whatever it is, it's not bad.
There you go. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, right? There you go. Our next story is an ironic one, Jess. A man wearing "I never argue" on his t-shirt. I'll even show you the picture.
Okay.
Here's the man in question. There he is. He looks a little dumbfounded, but there he is. It says "I never argue" on his t-shirt. Right there. Now, does he look like a man who argues to you?
He looks shocked, honestly.
He does. He looks shocked to be in the police station.
He has the eyes of my dog Winston. They're like really big and startled.
He does. He looks like he might be having a bad day. That man wearing the "I never argue" t-shirt is busted for a violent argument with a woman.
Of course he is.
Irony of all ironies. A man wearing a t-shirt declaring "I never argue" was arrested this past week when an argument with a female acquaintance turned violent. Evidently not practicing what his t-shirt preaches. That's for sure.
If you have to wear a t-shirt that says it, it's probably not true.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. 44-year-old Daniel Murillo is accused of repeatedly... Oh, God. Boy, he really is not practicing what his t-shirt preaches. Is accused of repeatedly punching the 24-year-old victim in the head.
Well, Daniel!
Yeah, right? No wonder his eyes are wide open. He's probably freaked out on meth.
I was going to say, he's got to be on something. You don't just do that.
Right. So he repeatedly punched a 24-year-old victim in the head while they were seated in a BMW outside an Econo Lodge in Kissimmee, Florida.
Oh, no.
He's high on meth. He's got to be. The duo had traveled from Tampa, but were left stranded when the car broke down. After a few days at the hotel, they ran out of money and began staying in their vehicle while attempting to fix it and arranged for a tow, according to police. While Murillo said he and the victim had been in a romantic relationship for several months, the woman, cops say, denied an intimate relationship with him. I would too if you went around wearing a t-shirt that said "I never argue" and you're punching me in the head. I probably would deny you too. The inability to arrange a AAA tow, the victim told police, upset Daniel and added to the tension between them, which led to a verbal argument, which investigators charged progressed to Murillo battering the woman. Okay, time out. I don't care what's going on in your life. There's no excuse to put hands on anybody because you can't get a tow.
No.
Right? I mean,
or for any other reason. There's no reason to hit each other. Especially when you're a dude hitting a girl.
Right. There's no reason. There's just, you need to go hit something, go out and hit a tree.
Slam a door.
Yeah, slam a door. Why don't you... Okay, I want you to take a look at his big old melon head. Why don't you go hit your head against a wall? Then you can obtain that look in your eye. Get it from a concussion. I don't know.
Punching a girl in the head, that is beyond violent.
She didn't do anything to deserve that. She didn't do anything she never would have done anything to deserve that. But
no, nobody deserves that.
Especially your dumbass with the "I never argue" t-shirt on. So cops noted that the victim had several bumps on her head, which appeared to be swollen and recent. So it's not like it was fresh. It appeared that they had been there for a while, which, yikes.
So this is like an ongoing situation, probably.
Yeah, it sounds like he's been doing this for a while. Murillo claimed that he struck the victim several times in retaliation for her punching him in the face. Well, you're the loser who put her in a vehicle instead of a hotel room.
Yeah, but I don't see any marks on his face.
No, he looks at
you.
No, look at he. Not one scratch.
No.
Nope. I don't buy his story for a minute. Not for a single minute. You're right, Jess. There's not a mark on him. He's not that attractive either. I hate to keep looking at him, but there's just that. He added that after the woman threw urine at him from a cup that they had inside the car, he broke the vehicle's windows. Well, you probably hadn't provided her anything to drink, so she probably was just, I don't know. I've got nothing.
This took a turn.
Yeah, it took a turn quickly, didn't it? I'm thinking they're both strung out on meth.
They have to, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Based on the totality of the circumstances, officers arrested Murillo for misdemeanor battery. He was booked into the Osceola County Jail on $1,000 bond in advance of a court appearance. His "I never argue" shirt was replaced with a jail smock. So as it should be. So now hopefully some people in jail are battering him around and showing him a good time. So there you go. I meant to ask you, Jess, you were at a party recently for your agent, right?
Yeah, we got to celebrate her birthday.
Did they have karaoke there?
No, they had a great DJ, and then they were playing 80s videos, like the old. I mean, like my husband and I were like, this is like taking you back in time to how goofy they were. And you didn't know how goofy they were at the time. You thought they were amazing.
Oh, no.
They're so weird.
You know what it was? It was the innocence of youth that made us think that, that was so great. It wasn't. It wasn't that great.
No, it's really quite a thing to see something from a different perspective, you know.
Yep.
How many years later, but
yeah. Well, you know, I'm of a mixed bag about karaoke. It's great when you're drunk.
Yeah, you gotta be drinking. My mom loves to karaoke. Like it's her favorite, and she has one at her house. So she's always like, "Come over, we're all gonna sing." And I'm like, "No one's gonna sing except for you and me because I'm too nice to say no."
Right. Yeah. And I tell you, in big groups singing karaoke, there needs to be alcohol involved because eventually we're going to go from singing to screeching. And it's going to sound like people being tortured. And it's not going to be a good time after a while.
Yeah, the more alcohol you have, the better I sound.
That's
Tim.
right. That's right. And that's the group mentality. The more alcohol we all have, the better we sound. And we all think we're Whitney Houston or we're Usher or whoever, or Prince or whoever, especially Prince. You hear a lot of people trying to hit that Prince note that are never going to get there, but they think they're going to get there. Especially trying to sing Kiss. That's fun. But you get to that level where you've probably had enough for the night and it's probably gotten on your last nerve. This guy had enough.
Uh-oh.
Enough to pull a gun.
Oh no, were they that bad?
Well, no, but it turns out he had enough because the party wouldn't continue.
Oh.
The party got shut down.
He wanted more.
A gunman.
He could be friends with my mom.
Right? He probably needs his own machine at home.
Yeah.
This gunman was arrested for Karaoke Rage, which Karaoke Rage is a hell of a band name. I'm just saying, trademark it right now, Jess.
That's a great cover band name, actually.
It is, isn't it? Karaoke Rage, right?
Yeah.
Bar patron was angry that the tunes machine was broken. He wanted more. Yeah. Coincidentally, this was on St. Patrick's Day that this happened. So lots of green beer.
A little bit of beer involved.
Yeah.
A little Irish whiskey.
And I don't know if you could tell or not, but I think he's got just a bit of the Irish in him. If you take a look at him.
He's got a red beard.
Yeah.
He's dang near a leprechaun.
He kind of looks like one. If you just put a little green hat on him and a pipe in his mouth, I'd ask him if I could take his gold.
He's an angry leprechaun.
Yes, a very angry leprechaun. Have you ever had an angry leprechaun? Was
it a drink?
I think it is a drink, yeah. Somebody was telling me...
I've had an Irish car bomb.
Yes, I've had one of those as well. Someone was trying to tell me that... What is it? Is it an angry leprechaun supposed to be a McDonald's Shamrock Shake with chocolate syrup in it?
Ooh.
Or is that a muddy leprechaun? I'm trying to remember. You're supposed to be able to do a mix at McDonald's where it's an angry leprechaun or a muddy leprechaun or something like that. But then somebody told me, no, that's not it. That's something
Sounds like
else.
a leprechaun who had bad Chinese food the night before.
Right. But they were like, no, an angry leprechaun or a muddy leprechaun is a drink. But I don't know. I digress. I'm not in the bar enough.
I Googled it while you were talking just to see if I could figure it out. And I'm just seeing a lot of really scary images of very angry leprechauns.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hit you with that image.
Nightmares.
Yeah. Sorry. Yikes. Well, with this guy, he was upset that the karaoke machine at a Florida bar, yes, we're going back to Florida, was not working. This man pointed a Glock pistol at another patron and fired off a round. That, according to the police, who arrested the suspect, who was a convicted felon, barred from possessing a firearm. So there's probably a reason why he shouldn't have had it in the first place. Yeah. He's got a tiny leprechaun anger problem.
A little anger management problem.
That's right. Except for we might have typecast him a little too soon, Jess. Police allege that 34-year-old Aaron Jablonski, yes, he's a Polish leprechaun, was at the Overtime Sports Bar around 2:30 a.m. on St. Patrick's Day when the karaoke unavailability resulted in him exiting the bar upset about the music. Outside the Clearwater business, a 26-year-old man tried to get Jablonski to calm down, according to an arrest affidavit. Denied karaoke, Jablonski was not in the calming down mood, according to cops. Jablonski allegedly pulled a handgun from his waistband and pointed it at the victim, saying, "I don't effing care." I'm using the nice version of what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jablonski was seen by witnesses brandishing a firearm and firing off a round. And we're not talking of drinks. He fired off a round from his gun. The victim, whose Facebook page has several photos of him performing karaoke, told police he was in fear that Jablonski would kill him. When officers arrived at the bar, Jablonski was still in possession of a Glock 9mm pistol because he ain't letting go of that thing, I guess, which investigators say was illegal because Jablonski was previously convicted of battery on a law enforcement officer.
Wow.
How would you like to be the officer to walk up and go, "Mr. Jablonski, I need you to give me that gun," and see how he gives it to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably not.
It sounds like a loose cannon.
A little bit. Jablonski was arrested on a pair of felony raps, aggravated assault and felon in possession of a firearm. He's locked up in the county jail in lieu of $40,000 bond, Jess. That's, I think
That's pretty stiff.
Yeah. Well, not compared to the shot you get from him when he tries to hit you with a gun, that's for sure. Jablonski's rap sheet includes convictions for DUI, disorderly conduct, theft, resisting an officer with violence, violating probation, and 2 separate incidents of battery on a law enforcement officer. A judge has ordered Jablonski to have no contact with the victim and stay away from the Overtime bar. Probably because his singing is just as bad as his gunshots. Court records do not reveal if Jablonski has a go-to karaoke song, perhaps a Bobby Fuller 4 number. That's a bad joke, so there you go. But I digress.
Benatar. I mean,
Yeah, hit me with your best shot.
Your best shot.
See, I like that joke better. Yeah. Hit me with your best.
I thought my mom was an aggressive karaoke lady. This guy wins.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a little extreme. If you think he's extreme though, Jess, we have another guy who tried to up the ante, and he's in the same state. Allow me to introduce you to Tyson Holyfield Part 2. We're going to Fort Myers Beach, Florida, where an ear was bitten off in a spring break beach brawl.
Oh my goodness.
Ear meat. It's what's for dinner.
Oh, gross.
Yeah. Witnesses evidently said racial slurs prompted this confrontation. Here is a look at the man who tried to take a bite out of crime. There he is right there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy.
His hair is wild.
Along with other things, evidently.
Like a mop on his head. And then he has one of those creepy little 22-year-old boy mustaches.
Yeah, it's kind of the pubic hair mustache, isn't it?
Yeah. It's gross.
It's barely growing in. Yeah. You want to tell him to get some testosterone and come on back. He's only 18 years old. Yeah.
And he is already biting ears off.
Well, he probably never grew out of the biting phase to begin with.
That could be true.
Yeah.
My son got bit by a kid when he was in 8th grade, and the principal had to call me, and she said, "I can't believe I'm telling you this." What? He got bit? So weird.
I can't believe I'm telling you this. Somebody hasn't grown up.
I'm like, I'm going to have to call his mom and make sure we don't need rabies shots.
Yeah. Oh, God. So did he have to get him rabies shots? Oh, God. That would be horrible.
No.
Jeez.
No, it's just weird, though.
How much do you over disinfect in that case? Do you just keep pouring on the peroxide to make sure?
Yeah, I think so. You keep an eye on it, right? So that it doesn't get infected, but
you don't want it to fester. Ugh.
His mouths are dirty.
They are. You don't realize how dirty a mouth is until you've been bitten. Yeah, I mean, seriously. I mean, there's more than just staph there. There's so many different germs in a mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this kid actually took part of the ear off.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Were they able to put it back
I'm
on?
so fascinated about your kid getting bit here that I totally blanked the story. Okay. A spring break beach brawl ended with an 18-year-old combatant under arrest for allegedly biting off the ear of his opponent. Yes, biting it off.
That is literally insane.
Yes. A sheriff's deputy was patrolling Fort Myers Beach Monday afternoon. It happened in the afternoon when he was flagged down in reference to a fight that occurred when one's ear was bit off. An investigation confirmed that the victim, Jawan Black, suffered a traumatic auricular amputation of his left ear. That is very medical.
And it sounds like more severe than just a nibble off the ear. I mean, it sounds like he literally bit his ear off.
That he did. A traumatic auricular amputation of his left ear during a brawl with 18-year-old Jack Turner. Black was transported to a local hospital for treatment. Video recorded by a bystander showed Turner pummeling Black as they wrestled in the sand. At one point, police reported that Turner pulled Black's head upward as he brought his face toward the left side of Black's head. It was then that Turner allegedly bit off Black's ear. Someone's a big fan of Twilight. That's all I'm saying. Because, I mean, okay, you're in a fight. You're a man. You're in a fight. Swing. I mean,
he's like, I'm a werewolf.
I'm a werewolf, Daddy.
Or a vampire. Take your pick. I mean, I think a werewolf would be more likely to bite an ear off. But
right. I mean, what are you thinking?
I think there was probably a lot of alcohol involved.
A lot of something. You know, in Florida, I mean, I'm not joking. Meth is a hell of a deal. I mean, if you're like methed up, you're nuts. It used to be
That's scary.
It used to be bath salts, but it's meth now. But bath salts used to get people biting like crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
Make them like eat people.
yeah,
Like a freaking zombie.
yeah. A female witness, Haley Seeley, told cops that she was walking with Black and others when Turner called him racial slurs and approached Black and hit him from behind. When the ensuing fight was broken up, Seeley said she saw Black's ear had been bitten off. Turner was arrested at the scene on a felony battery charge. He was freed from the county jail the following day after posting $50,000 bond. That's it. $50,000 bond for taking someone's ear off.
So then that would have to be his parents to post bond for him. Would you post bond for your kid if he bit someone's ear off?
Hell no, he's sitting in there.
Yeah. I'd be like, learn a lesson, buddy.
Yeah. A judge has ordered him to have no contact with Black. In an application seeking the appointment of a public defender, Turner reported to have no income and that his bond was posted by his family. Turner's residence is listed as a 3-bedroom Fort Myers home purchased by his parents in 2018. Turner, by the way, is scheduled for an April 21st circuit court appearance. Nah, if I were his parents, I know his parents probably thought, 18 years old, oh God, we can't let him, he's too young to be exposed to the system. What are they going to do to him in there? Hey, you know what? If Mad Dog wants to bite off an ear, he'll be just fine in jail for a week.
Yeah, no doubt.
And even if he's going to be stuck in there till April 21st, I might let him ride it out.
He probably still has a little cartilage between his teeth.
He probably does. He's probably going to pick it out. Yeah. I just made that disgusting sound where you're trying to pick it out with your tongue. But, honestly, Jess, I mean, you want to be a man like that, hey.
Yeah, I would not bail my kid out. I'm sorry. Children, if you're listening, if you bite an ear off, you're on your own.
Yeah. It's one thing if you get in a fight, okay, and you straight up with your fists and you go at it and, hey, you got in a fight, you got thrown in the slammer, okay, I'll come get you.
Yeah.
Hey, honest misunderstanding, it's an assault charge, you get thrown in the slammer, I'll come get you. If someone pulls a gun on you, tries to shoot you and you get away, hey, I'll come get you.
Yeah.
But you bite someone's ear off, come on, man.
Wow. I wonder if they could reattach it for that kid.
No.
So he's just earless now.
It's interesting. There's when you hear the stories about like Mick Foley, the wrestler, when he lost his ear in Germany, when he was wrestling Vader, he lost his by going over the top rope and getting when he got thrown over the top rope, he got his head cut, he got his head caught between two ropes. And when the ropes crisscrossed, because they're elevator cables, when they crisscrossed and he caught his head in between the two ropes, it snipped his top. Was it the top part of his ear? And it just took it, and then it just like a Ginsu knife, right? And it landed outside the ring. You only have so long to cut that blood supply off before you can actually reattach the ear. And not everyone, not every emergency room is equipped to reattach. And there's so many little, what's the word I'm looking for here, Chess?
Capillaries?
Yes, little capillaries and little systems that you have to reattach to. It's microsurgery. And if you don't have that attending there at the hospital, you can't do it. A lot of times they just tell you, well, it's not a necessary organ to reattach. So you just go without. And Mick Foley,
that's crazy.
Mick Foley doesn't have the top part of his ear. And his big joke is, I can't wear glasses.
Whoa.
Yeah. Because he has nothing to hold up
I never thought of that.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything to hold up the bow of his glasses.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So he doesn't bother. Isn't that something? I mean, it's kind of a sad thing to think about, but you don't need the outside of your ear. I mean, you do.
I guess not.
You do to hear better because that cone kind of filters the sound in. You know, it's harder to hear, but you don't necessarily need it. You know? So.
I guess it's not a necessary part of you.
It hurts like
it looks nice, though.
Yeah, it looks nice. It's aesthetically pleasing, but...
It looks nice when you have all your body parts in the right place.
Right. But, you know, if you happen to accidentally snip it off, it's not earth-shattering if it's gone. You can survive without it.
It's true.
It's kind of a harsh way to look at it, but...
I'll just keep my hair down.
Yeah, exactly. Just grow longer hair if you can.
Yeah.
Some of us in the room can't do that, but I'm just saying.
You just have to wear a hat then. Cover your ears with you always have a beanie on.
That's right. Always have a beanie on. Yeah. There's ways to cover it up. So, all right. It's time now for our Not Safe for Work version of our program. By the way, I meant to tell you at the beginning of the program, our Not Safe for Work today is a little rough. As opposed to other weeks, but it's a little rough today. Just saying. So we're going to give you a little extra time here to get the kids out of the room and to get the boss out of the room and get your coworkers out of the room and put in some headphones. We'll have you do that in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. We're going to stay in Florida. We've been in Florida a lot today, mainly because it's a little cold up here in the north. But we'll go and stay in Florida today. Do you remember the Mons Venus strip club shooting? It probably took. Yeah, the attempted mass shooting. The guy walks in and tries to. I don't know who wants to do a mass shooting in a strip club. Probably the most evil man in the world.
Right. Let the girls do their thing.
Right. Exactly. Let a girl.
Everybody's happy.
Let a girl make a living. I'll tell you who does the mass shooting in a strip club. This is a visual daily double for you here, Jess. Evidently someone who's angry at the buffet. Take a look at this guy right here.
My goodness. What is with his hair? I've never seen a mohawk like that long piece hanging down in the front.
Isn't that a horrible mohawk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this guy evidently was sentenced. Or he had his day in court. I shouldn't say he was sentenced, but he was sentenced. He accepted a plea deal. Got a 10-year prison sentence. The Florida man was accused of plotting a mass shooting at the Mons Venus strip club in Tampa, Florida. Was actually sentenced this past week. He was suspected of plotting a mass shooting at the Mons Venus Adult Club in Tampa 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago already. And got 10 years in prison after accepting a plea deal in court on Thursday. The man's name is Michael Rudman, and he was arrested on March 19th of 2023, after prosecutors say he tried to walk into the crowded club armed with a Glock 9mm and wearing a devil's mask over his face. That's probably the best thing he did all day, was put on a mask. Just saying, he's not the best looking guy in the world. Security footage shows Rudman pulling open the door to the club when he was stopped by a security guard. Now, if you remember, this security guard was quite brave. In fact, he made the rounds on the news, because what he did was he knocked the gun away from Rudman and wrestled him to the ground. Now, this guy's no 98-pound weakling. Rudman is a big tub of goop. We'll just call it like it is.
I mean, he's a big guy, so you'd have to be really strong to take him out.
Right. Rudman looks like he probably weighs about 500 pounds. But at the time, I think he was weighing in at about 350.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a big kid.
Solid.
Yeah. Security footage showed Rudman pulling open the door to the club when he was stopped by that security guard, who was able to knock the gun away. He wrestled Rudman to the ground. Tampa police believe the security guard, Manny Resto, likely saved many lives that night. It's believed Rudman's intent was to commit an act of mass violence and kill multiple people inside that club. Resto was later awarded by Tampa Police with a Citizen Medal of Valor for stopping a mass shooting. Tampa Police Chief Lee Burkaw said in 2023 that detectives also found additional ammunition, gun accessories, and 9 knives in Rudman's truck. So now Rudman will serve his 10-year prison sentence with credit for time served already. So technically he'll serve 8 years, but still they'll put him away.
Yeah, that's good. He's scary though. Like, what motivates someone to go in and want to just mass shoot people that they don't even know? Like, that's the weirdest thing to me.
No idea. And especially, come on, an adult club. I mean, who pissed in your Wheaties at an adult club is where you're going to pick to do a mass shooting. I mean,
yeah, I wonder what his motivation was.
I just think probably a lack of affection, to be honest with you. That's,
yeah,
or maybe somebody at that club laughed at him for some reason. It's to me, that's an incredibly personal crime. There's some personal motive there, and he decided he was going to take it out on them. That's for sure.
Well, here's hoping he gets the help he needs and he comes out not wanting to murder people he doesn't know, or people he does know, for that matter.
That's true. Yeah. Let's hope he just puts the gun away.
Yeah.
And puts the food to his face. No, I'm kidding. No. Hey, I can tell a fat joke. I'm a fat boy. Our next story, Jess, is an interesting one. I'm going to show you the lineup of men in this story. Just their just the faces.
That's a crew.
That's a crew, right? And then I'll preface it with this. Those 5 men were arrested after shutting down a downtown intersection, downtown Memphis, Tennessee, with twerking. That's one way of doing it.
Oh, golly.
5 men were arrested Monday after they allegedly stepped out of a car and began twerking in the middle of a busy intersection in downtown Memphis, Tennessee. Hey, if you're going to shut down downtown, why not? According to WREG, authorities in Memphis, Tennessee noticed a 2016 Chevy Malibu stopped at a green light at an intersection in downtown. The station reported that 4 men were seen twerking around the vehicle while 1 man was dancing on the hood.
That would have been me.
Dancing on the hood?
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to get everybody's attention while the...
I just like to dance on things, tables.
Really?
Lots of cars, whatever.
Oh, we got to hang out more often. Police responded to the scene and the 5 men were taken into custody. They are 18-year-old Mikel Sanders, 22-year-old Rashawn Bryant, 19-year-old Jordan Smith, 18-year-old Mondre Comays, and 18-year-old Desmond Subbery. All 5 of the men were charged with obstruction of a highway or passageway. Citing an affidavit, WREG reported that they were taken to jail so that the act wouldn't happen again. It's the only reason they took them to jail. They just didn't want to see a repeat performance. According to the station, Smith was given a $2,100 fine due to having a warrant for vandalism. The rest of the individuals involved were released on their own recognizance per the outlet. The 5 men appeared in court this past Wednesday.
There are such worse things they could be doing.
Right. I mean, but twerking. Twerking.
I mean, quite honestly, I'd love to see that. I'd love for that to be the reason I'm late somewhere. I'm sorry I'm late. There's a bunch of guys twerking in the middle of the road.
Yeah, but 5 guys had to get their twerk on, so who am I to stop them? That's why I'm late. And you know what? Bravo. It was a great show. So, who am I? Who am I to stop progress? That's America. Well, Jess, our next story is a follow-up to a very important story that we've been covering here on Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. We've all heard of blood diamonds, but it's rare that you hear of shit diamonds. I am happy to report we have our first shit diamond.
Really?
Yes. finally, folks, the Tiffany thief has passed those $770,000 in diamonds. It took a few weeks.
Oh, they really took that long?
Yeah. But he finally passed them.
Someone's had to check his poop that long.
Yes.
Every day.
Some poor orderly in the hospital has had to pan shit for diamonds.
Oh,
every single day.
that really makes my gag reflex kick in.
Someone's had the human Cologuard title in their nurse description that they can now put in a resume.
And then what? You give the diamond back to Tiffany's and they put it in a ring and someone buys it? No, thank you.
Oh, they're earrings. You can put them in your ears.
Oh, that's right. I forgot their earrings. That's even worse.
Can you just imagine you've given these wonderful $600,000 earrings to the love of your life, and you go to kiss on her neck and go, "Boy, you smell like shit." Yeah, it's not a good ending, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 weeks after a convicted thief allegedly swallowed valuable diamonds stolen from Tiffany and Company, the hospitalized suspect finally passed the $770,000 worth of gems lodged in his stomach. Following his arrest last month. I can't imagine that you hold on to them now. I got to think they're ruined.
I mean, you can't just turn around and clean them up and sell them, can you? Without disclosing these were in someone's butt.
These are butt diamonds. Wait, I'm sorry. It's Tiffany and Company. You have to have the proper accent. Allow me to disclose to you, these are, you're purchasing these at a discount because they are ass diamonds. So instead of the $770,000, you're getting them for $5.
$5? Okay, I'd wear them.
I'll wear them. I might smell like ass, but they're cheap diamonds. 32-year-old Jathan Gilder. I'm sorry, not Gilder. It's Gilder. Here he is, right here. There's your guilty party.
I remember Jathan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's Jathan right there, looking miserable as he had diamonds in his ass.
That probably hurt.
Diamonds on the soles of his ass. I keep thinking of Ladysmith Black Mambazo. Diamonds on the soles of his ass. Was admitted to an Orlando, Florida hospital to await the expulsion of the jewelry. We were unable to state which medical facility due to security reasons, because someone might, I don't know, walk in and give him Dulcolax. I don't know, and get it close.
Steal the shit diamonds from him.
That's right. Here, drink this milk of magnesia. I want to get rich. A spokesperson for the Orange County Corrections Department said, however, there are 2 officers with him at all times who probably were spoon feeding him prunes. I don't know. In response to repeated TSG inquiries about Gilder regarding his health and whereabouts, the Orlando Police Department's Public Information Office initially said it had no further information to share at this time. Gilder, of course, passed 3 of the 4 Tiffany earrings on March 10th. Oh, so he still had one in there.
Oh, no.
The final Tiffany piece was expelled on March 12th. 2 days later.
How did it take so long?
He probably doesn't have a lot of fiber in his diet. I don't know.
I mean, I want to go back to the corn and poop again. That's the only thing you can visually see. You eat the corn, it comes up the next day. How can it take that long for the diamonds to come? And they just caught on something? Are they stuck in the lining of his intestine? I
suppose it hangs up. It hangs up on the colon because of how sharp the diamonds are.
Oh.
So it probably tore him up.
He could have killed himself.
Yeah. Between the gold posts and the diamonds, he could have tore his colon to shreds. But as we pointed out before, Jess, not the first time this guy has done this.
He's so dumb, Jathan. Learn a lesson, buddy.
In addition, on the 10th, Gilder passed 2 unidentified earrings, though it is unclear when those items were consumed.
He had more in there?
He had more in there.
What the heck?
He's like a jewelry magician. Ta-da!
He's like on a steady diet of earring.
Diamonds and
I had earrings for breakfast. I had earrings for lunch.
Court filings had offered only vague references to Gilder's status. Records contained handwritten notations like hospital and outside medical. On the defendant's signature line of a circuit court document, the words unable to sign are printed, probably because he was holding his ass together. A February 28th arrest warrant was served on Gilder at the hospital, 601 East Rollins Street, the address of the Advent Health Orlando Hospital. Gilder was arrested on February 26th. Think about that.
I can't. My mind is blown. I don't understand how they hung out in his freaking intestines that long.
About 6 hours after allegedly bolting from the Tiffany store in Orlando with 2 sets of solitaire earrings valued at a combined $769,500. 2 sets of solitaire earrings, Jess, in the old colon. Gilder, cops say, posed as a representative for an NBA player and was ushered into a private room to examine several costly items. As detailed in various court filings, Gilder was pulled over by Florida Highway Patrol officers as he drove on Interstate 10 in Chipley, a city about 330 miles from Orlando. Troopers who had received a be on the lookout alert from Orlando cops reported having to yank Gilder from his rented Mitsubishi Outlander. Police believe that Gilder was en route to Houston, Texas, where he lives with his 73-year-old mother. Gilder, investigators said, was talking with a closed mouth and was moving an object around using his tongue. He reportedly ignored directions to open his mouth and started to chew and attempted to swallow what was in his mouth. Fearing that it may have ingested narcotics, troopers drove Gilder to a local hospital to be medically cleared before being brought to the Washington County Jail. At the hospital, Gilder refused treatment and evaluation while stating many times that he did not want his stomach to be x-rayed. It was during the subsequent jail intake process that Gilder was subjected to a scan that revealed foreign objects inside his body. While in the lockup, Gilder reportedly asked jailers, "Am I going to be charged with what's in my stomach?" Previously, while sitting in the rear of the police car, Gilder mused, "I should have thrown them out the window." By the way, as we mentioned before, Gilder was convicted of numerous smash and grab robberies committed in Texas in 21 and 22. He'd use a hammer to break glass displays at pawn shops, stealing items worth more than $400,000 in aggregate. He took jewelry, watches, and precious metals. During an August 2021 robbery at Big City Pawn in Houston, a customer ran out of the shop, retrieved a revolver from his car, and fired 5 shots towards Gilder. As he fled the business, Gilder jumped over 2 fences and escaped in a car he had borrowed from an ex-girlfriend. The woman told cops that Gilder claimed to need the vehicle to go on job interviews. In December of 2021, Gilder snatched a pair of earrings and 2 Rolexes out of the hands of a female sales clerk at a Houston jeweler and fled with items worth $133,000. In February of 2022, Gilder appeared at a Tiffany location in suburban Houston, asking to see and compare the largest diamond rings. Investigators reported he subsequently ran from a private viewing room with 2 rings valued between $30,000 and $150,000. In a 2024 court filing, Texas prosecutors stated that Gilder is alleged to have committed several smash and grab type robberies and thefts across Texas, Colorado, and Oklahoma. He's the subject of fugitive warrants from Texas and Louisiana. He's also facing felony and fugitive charges in connection with the February 2022 robbery of Legacy & Company Jewelers, a Colorado Springs firm. He is wanted in that matter, having failed to return to court after securing bond following his arrest and while in custody at a Colorado hospital after being shot in the back by the jewelry store owner. Gilder was somehow able to free himself from handcuffs and climb onto the ceiling of his hospital room in an escape attempt, which failed.
Oh my gosh, this guy is crazy.
Yeah. When he was advised by officers if they would be collecting his earrings as evidence, Gilder put them in his mouth and swallowed them, which includes photos, that's according to the police report, which included photos of a bloodied Gilder stumbling into a hospital after being shot. The Colorado incident occurred 5 days after the inaugural Tiffany heist. Daniel Zurob, who's the 30-year-old store owner, estimated that about $360,000 in diamonds were stolen from Legacy & Company, according to the Colorado Springs Police Department. Gilder's trial run at Tiffany & Company in Houston and his other assorted robbery convictions cost him nearly 3 years in custody, including an 18-month stretch that ended in mid-November of 2024. Not his first time, Jess.
No.
No. I think he's going to see some more time.
I feel like this is a lifestyle for him.
Yes.
Not just one bad decision.
No. And
I also think he and Electra might make a nice couple.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
I hope she likes shitty diamonds.
Shitty diamonds are a girl's best friend, Tim.
That's right. That's what she's getting for Christmas. Just saying. Okay, this is where we're going to get deep in the weeds here with a couple of sketchy stories. But we'll pull up eventually, so bear with me. We're going to go overseas, where an Iceland minister who had a child with a teenager 30 years ago has quit her job.
Wait. The woman had a child with a teenager?
The woman had a child with a teenager.
Oh.
Or had a child with a teenager.
Okay.
30 years ago. We'll explain where potential charges would potentially come up. Potentially. How do you like that for a tongue twister? Iceland's Minister for Children has resigned after admitting that she had a child with a teenager more than 30 years ago. Bear with me as I try to get the name right on this. I'm not great at the Icelander language. Astildur Loa Thorsdottir, I believe, said in a media interview that she had first started a relationship when the boy was 15 years old, and she was a 22-year-old counselor at a religious group which he attended.
Ew.
Right? She then gave birth to his child when he was 16 years old and she was 23.
Ugh.
Yeah. It's been 36 years and a lot of things changed in that time, and I would definitely have dealt with these issues differently today, the 58-year-old told the Icelandic media. Iceland's Prime Minister, Kristrún Frostadóttir, told the press that this was a serious matter, although she said she knew little more than the average person. This is a very personal matter, and out of respect for the person concerned, I will not comment on the substance, she said. According to the Visir newspaper, Frostadóttir said she had only received confirmation of the story on Thursday night. She immediately summoned the Thorsdottir to her office, where she resigned. Icelandic news agency RUV broke the story on Thursday night. Thorsdottir revealed in an interview with them that she had met the father, who RUV named as Eric Asmundsson, while she was working at the religious group True Og Life, or Religion and Life, which he had reportedly joined because of a difficult home life. He was 15 years old and she was 22 at the time of their meeting. Thorsdottir gave birth, pardon me, I just got an ad in the middle of my story.
Of course you did.
Don't you love it when that happens, Jess? Comcast jumps in and decides they want to advertise in the middle of a serious story. Thanks, Comcast. So it turns out that she says, so he was 15, she was 22 at the time of their meeting. He was going through a tough time at the time when they met at this camp. when RUV report that the relationship was secret, but that Asmundsen was present at his child's birth and spent the first year with him. Interesting. However, the news agency writes that this changed when Thorsdottir met her current husband. They report that they have seen documents Asmundsen submitted to Iceland's Justice Ministry requesting access to his son, but that Thorsdottir denied it, while also requesting and receiving child support payments from him over the following 18 years. A relative of Asmundsen tried twice to contact the Icelandic Prime Minister about the relationship last week. Frostadottir said last night that when the woman revealed it involved a government minister, she asked for more information, which led to the revelation and the resignation. In her TV interview with RUV last night, Thorsdottir said that she was upset that the woman had contacted the prime minister. I understand what it looks like, she said, adding that it is very difficult to get the right story across in the news today. Well, what's the right story? I mean, it sounds like they got it right, right?
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. And it's wrong.
Mm-hmm. While the age of consent in Iceland is 15.
What?
Yeah.
That's terrible. I'm sorry. That is not okay.
It is illegal to have sex with a person under the age of 18 if you are their teacher or mentor, which it's obvious she was at the time.
Right.
If they are financially dependent on you or work for you. The maximum sentence in this crime is 3 years in jail, which she should have served.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
Technically, she was that. Despite resigning from her ministerial job, Thorsdottir said she has no plans to leave Parliament. So she says she's sticking to the job.
That's crazy.
Isn't that something? If you think that's messed up, Jess, I got another one for you.
Okay.
All right. Seemed like a nice guy is the quote. Dad invites a 31-year-old Florida man to share a bedroom with his 15-year-old daughter.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Would you let a 31-year-old man share a bedroom with your 15-year-old daughter?
Only if he was a corpse, like in the first story.
If he was dead on top of her. A Missouri dad thought his teenage daughter was talking to a nice guy online and allegedly invited him to come live with them, even though that guy was 31 years old.
Dad of the year.
There's layers of ick here.
So many layers of ick.
47-year-old Frederick Copping was arrested on March 14th along with 31-year-old Travis Kalkbrenner. The Florida man who called Copping's 15-year-old daughter his girlfriend. That's right, his girlfriend. According to a probable cause statement obtained by KMIZ, a local ABC affiliate, police were called to the home in response to a possible domestic incident. The arrest warrant for Copping said that when Cole County Sheriff's Office deputies arrived, they observed that the teenager was extremely intoxicated. And according to KMIZ's reporting, she claimed to be 22 years old. Deputies soon found out that she was 15 years old, and her living situation raised some eyebrows. According to Copping's arrest warrant, he explained to police that his daughter had been talking to Kalkbrenner for a few years. She's 15.
Stop. So she was 13 and talking to a 29-year-old?
Yeah, on the internet.
That is so disgusting.
And KMIZ reported that the two communicated on the Discord app. So parents, if you got kids on Discord, and believe it or not, it included video chats, Jess, on Discord. Copping told police that Kalkbrenner seemed like a nice guy and allegedly invited the man to move into his home with his underage daughter. Copping stated that he believed Kalkbrenner was 25 or 26 years old, but reportedly admitted that he wasn't sure.
Okay, but even that is disgusting.
Right. The probable cause statement, as well as a warrant, described how Copping and his daughter allegedly drove to Florida to get Kalkbrenner. When the trio arrived back at their Russellville home in Missouri, Copping allegedly provided the boyfriend with condoms and told Kalkbrenner he better not get her pregnant.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
This is, so gross.
Layers of ick, like I said. Copping was also asked by police about his daughter's alleged intoxicated state. According to the warrant, he said she has the habit of getting into his alcohol and he can't control that.
Wow. This dad is a bad one.
Father of the year. According to the probable cause statement, deputies said that Kalkbrenner allegedly admitted to several sexual encounters with the teenager whom he thought was 22 years old. Oh, you can't spring that. No. Nope. Kalkbrenner was charged with first-degree rape, first-degree sodomy, 2 counts of statutory rape, 1 count of first-degree sexual abuse, 1 count of fourth-degree child molestation. He's being held at the Cole County Jail without bond. He's due in court. Actually, he was due in court here a couple days ago, so he should have already gone to his initial trial. Copping was charged with child abuse, first-degree endangering the welfare of a child, first-degree accessory to rape, first-degree accessory to sodomy, 2 counts of second-degree accessory to statutory rape, 1 count of first-degree accessory to sexual abuse, and fourth-degree accessory to child molestation. During his video arraignment on March 17th, he pleaded not guilty to all charges. Unbelievable.
I'm innocent. I thought she was 21 when she was going off to school with her backpack on her back. I thought she was going to college.
That's the dad who pled not guilty.
Those were all for the dad?
That's all for the dad. He's pleading not guilty to being an accessory.
Oh, Dad.
He's also being held at the Cole County Jail without bond. He's scheduled for a counsel status. It was scheduled for a couple days ago and a preliminary hearing on April 3rd.
I hope they all have to do time in prison. Both of them.
I hope they lock him up in the jail and set the jail on fire. That's just me. I'm just saying. Not saying, just saying. On another note, I was actually pointed out to this story by a listener who sent me a Facebook message and said, what's not good for the goose is not good for the gander. Some guys may think, hey, this would be a heck of a gift if you're a male high school student. But then it was a female listener who sent me this and said, this is not okay. I want your opinion, Jess.
Okay.
Female Indiana teacher is accused of a gangbang with junior high students and asked them to wear scream masks.
Oh my gosh, what is happening at the end of this program today?
I have
middle schoolers?
Yep, that's her right there. That's her booking shot. I have other shots of her, but I mean not in that scenario. A teacher from Indiana is facing a series of child sex abuse charges, and she allegedly had a very specific sexual scenario that she asked the children to act out using replicas of the killer's masks from the Scream movie franchise. A 31-year-old former teacher at Eminence High School, Brittany Fortenberry, is facing a slew of charges, including child molestation, sexual misconduct with a minor, dissemination of matter harmful to minors, and more. For allegedly sexually abusing multiple children she met at 2 different schools last year. A new court document goes into detail about the alleged sexual activity, including an incident described as a quote-unquote gangbang. A 13-year-old, whose name has been redacted from the document, told a police officer that Fortenberry picked him and 2 of his friends up and bought them hundreds of dollars worth of clothes before taking them back to her house. This is a different picture of her right here. Okay.
Okay.
The boy says he believes Fortenberry I showed you the photo there from her husband's Instagram page that's been deleted, called the kids' parents.
She's married.
Yep. Called the kids' parents to see if they could stay the night before giving them a dose of magic mushrooms and asking if they wanted to gangbang her. Nice individual.
Wow.
They accepted and say Brittany had only one condition, that the 3 kids wear scream masks during the sex. The alleged gangbang is said to have gone on for around 2 hours. The affidavit also includes other sworn statements detailing abuse, including a 14-year-old who told investigators that she believes Fortenberry may have drugged him on one occasion. Worth noting, several individuals say Brittany befriended their parents and has a son their age. So there were more ties between them than the average teacher-student relationship to begin with.
That makes more sense, because if a teacher said, hey, can your kid spend the night at my house? I'd be like, frick no.
Right.
What a weird thing to ask. But if you had a kid their age, that makes sense.
Fortenberry is currently being held in the Morgan County Jail. But isn't there an additional ick factor there that you have a kid their age? And
yes. And how horrifying for him or her. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but how horrifying for her child. That's your mom. And this is like all over the news and everybody knows about it. That's, ugh.
Yeah. But, the double standard thing, that there's probably some guys out there going, high five, dude. You tag team your teacher.
No.
But no, there's an ick factor there that's no, sorry.
That is not okay, whether male or female. That's disgusting. And I can't even imagine. I used to be a middle school teacher. I can't even fathom. And I taught high school. Even when I was younger and fresh out of college, I didn't look at my students and think, oh, yeah, you're hot.
Yeah.
I always thought, oh, you're kind of stupid.
Yeah.
No, what do you have in common with a kid?
You don't.
I guess it's not about having anything in common with them for these people. It's like a control thing.
Well, it's pedophilia. That's
yeah, she's a rapist.
Yeah. That's exactly
gross.
Yeah. All right. Now we're going to get to a little bit of the silly here before we get into our palate cleanser, which is actually an interesting palate cleanser. We have a 2-part palate cleanser, and then we're out of here. This is not a political story. It's a funny political story, if you're ready for this. There's been a lot of talk in the news, Jess, about politicians wanting to fight each other lately. Our own Governor Walz has said he would take on, again, all Trump supporters. It was then that WWE wrestler Kane, who's a mayor in a town in the South somewhere, I don't remember where, people will correct me, said he would take on Governor Walz for charity. So these two now evidently don't have a match scheduled yet, but you never know in the future. A Florida man is taking it one step further.
Okay.
Jess, I kid you not. The funniest thing I've seen ever. A Florida man was arrested for posting sickening threats against President Trump. He said, "Fight me naked to the death." I don't think...
Why naked?
Right? You really think the president's going to fight you naked? I mean, fight you in general, no, but fight you naked?
It's just next level weird.
Right. And by the way, let me show you a picture of the weirdo who thought, the president will do it. If I can get rid of the ad that's attached here. For some reason, it won't go away. They want to cover up this guy. I can't get rid of the ad.
Oh, no.
Here's a picture of the weirdo that wants to fight President Trump naked.
He just looks like he's like, yeah. What up? Let's go.
Yeah. What up? Let's get nakers and
get
go.
naked.
Right?
Let's get naked and fight.
Yeah. It's bizarre. A disturbed Florida man has been arrested for allegedly making sickening threats against President Trump, even challenging him to fight me naked to the death, according to authorities. 42-year-old Kendall Aaron Todd was busted and charged on Monday in St. Lucie County after he allegedly posted sickening threats to kill the commander-in-chief on social media. I mean, that part's not funny, but the fight me naked to the death part is hysterical. In a rambling 80-second clip, Todd railed against Trump and declared himself U.S. president. Well, I suppose anybody can these days. Because of Donald Trump, every single person in the world is cursed, Todd said in the since deleted expletive-laden clip. Donald Trump is the Antichrist. Well, you don't want to fight him naked then. If he's the Antichrist, he'll burn you to death.
Or somehow impregnate you.
Right. If you're naked, well, yeah, you'll have butt babies. Just saying. I mean, don't do it, dude. Donald Trump has personally made business decisions which have hurt so many different reincarnated Jesuses, he said. Explain that sentence to me.
Read it to me again.
Donald Trump has personally made business decisions which have hurt so many different reincarnated Jesuses.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, I wish this ad would get out of my way. I wish I knew how to close this ad because there's such a funny picture of him. By the way, he's being held on $500,000 bond. That's no joke. The violent threats were quickly flagged to the U.S. Secret Service, as they would be, by the St. Lucie County Sheriff. He just kept escalating his behavior, said St. Louis County Sheriff Richard Del Toro. He got the attention, obviously, of the U.S. Secret Service, and that got our attention. Del Toro said authorities had recently been keeping tabs on Todd over concerns for his mental health. Neighbors told WPBF they'd recently seen deputies at the home of the suspect who'd been acting strangely for some time. The sheriff said a SWAT team moved in to apprehend him after he posted the disturbing video online. It's just very concerning for us, he added. Some of the things that have happened in the past to our president, we want to make sure we're not leaving anything to chance. And of course, you would not leave anything to chance. He's had some terrible things happen, right? Todd was slapped with charges of written threat to kill or do bodily harm. His bond, again, is $500,000. And probably rightfully so. Even if the man's mentally disturbed and had no intention of fighting the president naked to the death, I can't help but laugh when I say that. Still, I mean, it's just stupid.
Yeah. You don't know what he's capable of, really.
Right.
If he's saying stuff like that.
Right. Exactly. But it's just stupid. All right. Our palate cleanser. Now that you have the mental image of that man and President Trump naked fighting.
I've been thoroughly traumatized with this not safe for work segment, Tim. Give me something good.
Okay. It so happens that it takes place here in Minneapolis, the first part.
Okay.
Again, it's still not safe for work. We're still in not safe for work territory here with these, Jess, but it's a palate cleanser nonetheless. I know even my palate cleansers lately have been around to you. I'm sorry. It turns out that a Minneapolis small business saved a woman from an overdose death with Narcan.
That's good.
Right. But here's the twist. Even when you're fucked from an overdose, you can get saved by someone who fucks themselves. Here's the story. Are you familiar with the Smitten Kitten?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, let me tell you about it.
Okay.
On one of the first warm days in Minneapolis this year, the doors were propped open in most businesses near the intersection of Lake Street and Lindale Avenue. That's why employees at the store Smitten Kitten were able to notice a woman who was slumped over in her parked car outside the shop. A staff member went to the owner, Jennifer J.P. Pritchett. They knocked on the window and yelled, but the woman didn't respond. Pritchett then opened the driver's unlocked door and saw the woman was not breathing. Thinking the woman seemed to be overdosing, Pritchett leaped into action and yelled back into the store for employees to grab their stash of Narcan, which, by the way, is a brand name of naloxone, the drug that reverses an opioid overdose. Ann Lehman, who does social media for the sex toy shop, started gathering more doses from local businesses. I went to our neighbors. Some people came to us and asked if we needed more. Other people asked us what it was. They were all spread out on the hood of this person's car in peak rush hour traffic on Lake Street, they said. The scene happened quickly as the group waited for an ambulance to respond. Pritchett administered Narcan to the woman, and when she stayed unresponsive a few minutes after one dose, Pritchett tried again and then waited and tried again. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention says giving someone Naloxone won't hurt them even if they actually aren't overdosing. And in those who are overdosing, it can take 2 to 3 minutes to take effect. Typically, naloxone can work within a few doses, depending on the severity of the overdose. After receiving 7 doses of naloxone via nasal spray and injection, Pritchett said the woman vomited, came to, and started talking. Minor miracle that she saved her life.
Yeah, that's incredible.
7 doses, Jess. That was one hell of an overdose.
They just weren't giving up either. That's the most amazing part of all.
Right. That woman should be dead. But she didn't. She didn't die. And JP didn't give up on her. It took about 20 minutes for first responders to get there. And when they did, they told the staff that they did the right thing, saying if they would have waited, that woman would have died. And the woman left in the ambulance. As quickly as it began, it was over. And they were gone. And we were just left standing there. And we were like, we need to debrief this, Pritchett said. The Minneapolis Fire Department later confirmed to Minnesota Public Radio News that they had responded to the report of an overdose. Pritchett's grateful that the staff were prepared for the incident. Employees had taken a training with Southside Harm Reduction Services and had Narcan stocked. Pritchett and Lehman and Smitten Kitten's values as a business are being informed about, of course, safe sex practices and being there for their community. So it was natural for the group to seek out training to learn how to use Narcan. EMS thanked us for responding and said they were surprised we had so many doses available, and it's just because we care about our neighborhood and our neighbors and wanted to be prepared for something like this to happen. I'm glad that we were. I'm very grateful, Pritchett said. Lehman agreed. During the uprising after the murder of George Floyd and the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, they did mutual aid work. They said emergency situations are scary, but we have to acknowledge how to handle it is key and empowering. They said this is an issue that affects people across class, gender, and race. It's just important to have those skills for when first responders can't show up on time and you're in a situation where you don't want to call the police. According to Lehman, it's a really powerful tool to be able to just do that. So there you go. First story. Okay?
Yeah.
So there you go. And it has everything to do with fentanyl poisoning in our communities, and overdoses, and you never know when it's about to happen. So there you go. And our second palate cleanser today, Jess, is this. Now, you've heard of the Mile High Club, and it's incredibly illegal. You're not supposed to do it, right? But there's one airline out there that may be actually encouraging it.
Oh.
And it's Lufthansa. They're now offering, and I'm going to show you this. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Take a look at this. That's an actual cabin.
Oh.
Right? That's an actual cabin in first class.
If the cabins are rocking.
That's right. If the cabins are rocking, don't come a knocking. They're offering first class tickets to Pound Town with their new double suite.
That's interesting and a little gross. I don't even like to sit in the seats of the airplane. I feel like everything's dirty, nothing's sanitized.
Here's what's interesting about this new suite, Jess. If you've ever flown in those fancy classes on an airline, you've noticed that, especially the ones that they have the classes when you're flying overseas where you can lay back like in a bed almost.
Yeah.
You've got the sleeper cabins.
Mm-hmm.
These new ones that Lufthansa has are a new evolution and a new solution to these business class cocoons, in that they're the first class suites with dual beds. Dual beds, and they sit almost perfectly near the engine, so there's a little bit of noise.
Okay.
They're kind of setting you up for a little Mile High Club, right? So
yeah, I think so.
Lufthansa actually announced these new Allegris cabins last year, but now flyers are starting to see them out in the wild. Travel YouTubers have actually been getting their tickets to try the new suites, exclusively solo so far, but they're giving real-world looks at the world's highest altitude love hotels, as they're being called. And there's a picture here of one guy sitting in, it's a YouTube video, but he's actually sitting in one of the beds, one of the double. It's a very tight fit if it's a double, I'll tell you that much.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to really snuggle up in that.
Yeah, but they're kind of these double cabin suites. But yeah, it's a very tight fit, so to speak. The creation of in-plane, they call them the in-plane bang capsules, raise a number of questions. The first of which is that of soundproofing. The suites are in the middle of the fuselage, so how much sound do the walls absorb? There's a big international traveler by the name of Daniel Golson who's informed Jalopnik, who's the writer of the article, that everyone in business class has noise-canceling headphones on anyway, so they're not worried about that part. They're not worried about somebody hearing them. But do you really want to rely on that being the only thing stopping you from putting on a show for a cabin of Fortune 500 types? Or is that part of it, showing off what the more traditional crowd is missing out on?
Probably, yes.
Right?
A little exhibitionist.
A little exhibitionist. So it says, if you're looking to join the Mile High Club, these new Lufthansa suites may well be the way to do it. Think about it as compared to your standard economy class bathroom. The Allegra suites have more space, more comfort, and they're actually meant to hold two people. You won't have to sneak around the flight attendants to get together. Just remember that anything too fun will get taken by the TSA before you actually make it onto the plane. So 3 ounces or less of liquids and put those electronic devices in plane mode before takeoff or during takeoff and landing. So do you think Lufthansa is encouraging this behavior?
Kind of sounds like they might be.
I mean, who makes a double suite?
They're not discouraging it. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like they're doing a little something. Anywho, so that's your palate cleanser for today, if it's much of a palate cleanser at all. It's just, if you fly Lufthansa, fly with a friend.
Yeah.
Especially first class, and a good friend at that. So there you go. All right, Jess, what's going on in your world?
Oh, not much, Tim. Just keeping up with writing the book. So if you guys haven't gotten one to read yet, grab one. Read a book. Let me know what you think. Leave me an Amazon review. That'd be amazing.
That's right. And most definitely. And Jess has those 3 currently out, and she's working on more. So pick them up. Leave a review. Rate and review, and give a good review at that for Jess. That's for sure. This week on the program, we've got Supernatural News with Mally tomorrow. And then Thursday, we're going to have some fun with numbers. That's the clue I'll leave you for today. I know this much, but the book I'm reading right now, if I'm looking at my numbers correctly, I probably should quit the show and become some sort of Maharaja or guru.
Really?
Yeah, I guess. I'm supposed to be some sort of spiritual mucky muck.
Let's see that about you.
I don't know what I'd tell you. I got nothing. But fun with numbers on Thursday. So I'll tell you more tomorrow. Sure.
Very fun.
Yeah. So that'll do it for today. Thank you so much for this extra long, double-sized True Crime Tuesday, I guess today is what it's been. I'm sorry I packed so much in. That's all right. I need that sometimes. It was fun. Yeah. I loved it. Yeah, so we had a little extra time with Jess today. There you go. But that'll do it for today. Folks, thank you so much for listening to the big program. Again, check out the store, darknessradioshow.com. Check out the app. Look for the Darkness Radio app and download that or update it. And we will see you tomorrow for Supernatural News. For Jessica Freeberg, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for watching and listening to True Crime Tuesday.